Hello, McTails. Hello, man. Go your own way. Go your own way. It's a mild, windy day. Hello, McTails. Hello, man. And I have my sound, so everything's good. Today we're going to talk about a mild case of mgtow. Seems like that's what's expected nowadays. Instead of a full case of mgtow, we're talking about a mild. Let me get the comments up here so I can see. Take care of all my things. Make sure my sound's right. All them things. It's Sunday morning, and Sunday morning. Go your own way. Make tell all your sins are forgiven from the past, and you can come into make tell, and your whole life will change. Which most certainly will. But we got a mild case of make tell. I wanted to talk about a few things today that kind of they bind together, they hinge together in this world that we have to live in. The theory of knowledge and what we know about how we think and all that stuff, and our thinking processes and make tell change dramatically uh, when we come into MGTOW. We have this knowledge. This knowledge is important to to MGTOWs. It's epistemology. Is the theory of knowledge, and we start learning things about things we didn't know in this real world. In this real world, we weren't taught very well from the time we were younger, and we were taught very traditional and value traditional conservatives, and I want to talk a little bit about the traditional conservative mindset, the diseases that go with that, why they do that. I was looking at what was it, YouTube or not YouTube. I was looking at Twitter or Facebook. Twitter and Facebook pretty much resemble each other nowadays. And I was looking at what men want when they come into MGTOW. And one of the things that they want to do is there's always this expectation that it's the men's right to police the female body. Uh, they want virginity over most things. They want to know that certain woman is subservient to his needs. His needs may be making his bed, making his breakfast, getting things together so he can go off to work and everything. That's a very traditional conservative attitude. And when you look at what he's asking for, he's asking for conservatism, tradcanism. He wants the woman to bow down in front of him, naked in the kitchen, making his bed and making his dinner and taking care of the household needs and just being subservient. But there's a certain thing that comes along with that domestication. You'll call that domestication, and the domesticated animal. The domesticated human is not good for humans. We can see this in it's most exploited or external to ourselves, and we can notice it. We can see it in nature when we're asking for a subservient domesticated animal to do the beast of burden work. We have humans that do that too, and there's something that happens in nature. You can see most of all with a pig, a boar. You take a boar in the woods, and he's got fuzz, and he's mean, and he porages for his meals, and he eats what he can, and he's got this look that's quite vicious. As soon as you take that boar out of the wild and you put him into a domesticated situation, uh, he loses all his fur, like a human male. When you put him in a domesticated situation of marriage, first thing they're going to ask is to shave. He loses his fur. He has his ears round off. He gets sunken eyes and a lower lip, and his face rounds out. And I'll call that. There's a disease that resembles this, and it's called Keller Williams. Keller was the person. Williams is it's and there's huge examples of this, and they're the happy children with the exclamated features and the big mouths and the big heads and the sunken eyes and it's a disability, and but there's mild cases of this in the world, and we're talking about you're going, Joe. what are you talking about? We're talking about the domesticated animal. Keller Williams is a signal that tells us of human domestication, and it's been linked directly to human domestication. When humans were the machines, the slaves. Now we look around and what choices men want. We'll go back to what choices that the uh, the mild mgtows, the mgtows, the slight case of mgtow guys, they always want to police the female body. They want to police her attitudes, and they're insecure with what they want. They don't want to. One example was one guy said, "Well, we're going to stop calling men insecure for not wanting to date a sex worker." And I looked at that comment and I was like, it's like you're demanding that a woman be subservient. You're demanding that a woman not do the things that you want to do every single day. Most of the young men are very active sexually, and they want to do those things. Overall, it's a message of immaturity, and it's a bigger message of how they look at the world. Nietzsche talked about this. Do you have a good grasp on the world and that you live in, and do you have a do you have a do you want a slave around your house? Do you want a domesticated animal around the house? Because there's good examples of mild cases of a Williams disease, Keller Williams, a Juliette Lewis, the girl from how the girl's face and what's it? She's the I can't remember her name now. She's the girl that she's the action adventure girl that goes into the caves and steals and she's got the pouty lips and the sunken eyes, and she done that all with makeup and operations to her face to hide what she really is, because she knows that men find that attractive. Men find domestication and these animals, these beasts of burden, very attractive. When you're looking for a female like that, you want to find a female that's subservient. And I hear this all the time, and MGTOW, that if the girls just get under control, we'll be able to have what we want. And that's an immature message of an immature male that's jealous, and but what he's really saying is when he's looking for those docile creatures that have been domesticated, you're looking for signs of Keller Williams disease, and that's what you're going to get with your kids, and they're going to pass that on. It's an inability to think for themselves. It's the kids are playful and they're happy, and they're the kids that run up to you and hug you, and that's what you want. You want that affection in your life, and I see this a lot with guys. Joey would be in here usually, and he'd be talking about. He says his friends he likes the girls with the goofy look, and he's programmed to find a girl with subservient features, and we're programmed as men to find females with subservient. That's traditional conservative. But what it's saying about you is you do have an inability to make your own bed and do your laundry for yourselves, and live like a man and live independent, to think for yourselves. And I think a lot of guys, what's up, gangster? We're going to go into independent thinking and autonomy and MGTOW, and how MGTOW kind of lines up with independent thinking and autonomy. And we don't want slaves around our house, because we don't generally want to be slaves. We're not going to be slaves to a conservative traditional idea of marriage, because you have to volunteer for that. You have to volunteer for your own slavery, and then after she moves on with hypergamy and stuff, she's going to leave you as the real slave. The government's going to enslave you. And domesticated people show signs of Williams disease. Their ears round, they lose their fur. We can see that with the boys today too. We thought that was attractive. Men of the 50s thought that the domesticated female, to pick a mate with the domesticated female, was attractive. They have the pouty lips and the sunken eyes and the clean, like not like a wild boar, not like this, like the pig, the domesticated animal. That's what they find. But that is horrible for human knowledge. It is horrible for the human mind. It is horrible for to put another person that you say you respect, in that condition where she's just a mating machine and a penis pocket for you at night. So because you've never learned how to make your bed or cook your own dinner and stuff. And that's what traditional conservatives want. They want to go back to this 50 idea of, yeah, it's the slave plantation, what we talk about. And that's why we're so critical of traditional conservatives. And but there is this human domestication thing that I was talking about with Keller-Williams disease, and you can see it when you go out there. You can see people that inhibit those features, like Juliette Lewis. She's I know somebody, the most hideous girl in the whole world, Juliette Lewis. They have those features that they're domesticated, but you will pass those features on to your children, and it's not something you should want. You shouldn't want a subservient person, because what you're saying is you're willing to trade off subservience. And that's with modern politics. I look at the traditional party, or the traditional conservative party, and when I look over the faces of these people, I'm very astute and very good at looking at people's faces when you're a clinician, and you get trained on looking at people's faces if they're in distress, if they're depressed, if they have some issues up there that they can't resolve. And I look over, I see Mitch McConnell, and he looks like a cartoon bear. He looks like a cartoon turtle. And I see Lindsey Graham, that looks like a cartoon turtle, another cartoon figure. And I see forms of Keller-Williams in there, the human domestication. And it's no wonder that they subscribe to that traditional conservative thinking, because when I look over each one of these people, I can see the ones that are domesticated, and I can see the ones that are free in their facial figures. And why they would want to go down that line is always just, my head is ready to explode when I think about the modern mgtow. And I don't think these guys are mgtow. They're not black pill mgtow. They're not. They're hardly even mgtow. What they are is a mild case of mgtow. And I know once you see mgtow, you can't unsee it. But there are extreme cases of mgtow, and there's mild cases, and we see that all over mgtow nowadays, where frat boy college guys think they're mgtow because they're, ooh, I'm just gonna go hit it and quit it, and I'm a PUA. That makes me. No, it doesn't. The thinking mind in mgtow takes a lot more. You have to do abstraction thinking. You have to do fallibility and infallibility, and you have to do deductive versus inductive thinking, and you got to do exact thinking. There's a range of certain premises and that we go by in here that we find that is real, and that we do Descartesism, we do Cartesian thinking, we do infallibility versus fallibility. Are these ideas fallible? When coherence theory and knowledge, epistemology, those things, when you become into when you come and become a mgtow, and you can't undo these things once you see them. But with the light or mild case of mgtow, we don't get that. We just get guys that want slaves. And I said, why would you want a slave? If you want to go back to that traditional conservative bullshit of the 50s, where a woman's naked and pregnant in the kitchen, that's a horrible idea, because what you picked to be pregnant, to have that children, is her genes are going to go, and that's just what if you have a male child and he gets the genes of that subservient beast, that's a beast of burden, that has mild Keller-Williams disease, and that's going to pass down to your son. Your son is going to be one of those subservient slaves for the rest of his life. Now in mgtow, we generally shy away from that stuff. We shy away from the traditional, for good reason, which I just explained. There's scientific reasons. I say when I do when I do my analogies about MGTOWs, I'm always going to bring some kind of scientific knowledge to it, some biological. We're going to talk about sexual cryptis, cis, not tis. We're going to talk about those things. We're going to talk about how stupid the idea of fatherhood is. It's just an abstract idea that you're pregnant with her and you're somehow responsible for her body. No, you're not. You're not. You're 100%. That's just a social construct that keeps men in slavery. Now, when we think about the traditional conservative, the Tradcon, and his ideas of slavery and what he picks, it's no wonder why they pick to be slaves, why they want to be that. And that's why when Barbarossa took off about traditional conservatives being the worst kind of MGTOWs, he was right, absolutely 100% right. They're the worst kind of MGTOWs. They're going to tell you stupid things. They're going to want to go back to the 1950s. What they are is immature little children that want someone to make their bed. They make them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches while they go off to work and pretend like they're the man. Pretty disgusting. I don't want a slave, and I don't want to be a slave. When you go down the ideas of marriage and all that, this whole metaphysical love that you're bonded somehow with her, and you start sharing that you're pregnant, she's pregnant. Bundy, not Ted Bundy, Bundy from Married with Children said it all. He said all masculinity was lost the first day the first male said, we're pregnant, because we're not pregnant, she is. It's 100% her body, her choice, her decision. She's making that. Her two sister cells from the inception just took a photograph of your DNA. It doesn't intertwine like some scientists will tell you. She's just simply, it's called the jumping gene. Her genes in that strand of DNA jump around, and then they impersonate your DNA, and then it blends, and then the sister cells separate, and then from that cell, from those you can't even see it. It's so small that from that process she starts making a baby. You have nothing to do with it besides volunteering. You're a donor of DNA. She takes a picture of it. Fatherhood is such a bullshit thing that it just, and we get really intelligent people that try to tell you that there's some magic connection, you have some magic honor, and men live by honor codes too. She doesn't have no honor there. That's why hypergamy is present, because she doesn't have honor codes. She has conscience by concern. As soon as she sees the next best thing, she's gonna go. She has permitted you to let her replicate her DNA. That DNA, and she is pregnant. You're not. It's made in her. You're not going to get a big belly like some guys think. You might get a big belly because we're talking about Corvad's disease, where you're sympathetic pregnancy. You're experiencing the same thing she's experienced because you're such a sympathetic pregnancy. We see all these things in MGTOW, and we become very heavy in our doctrine, we become monks. We look out of the world. We're doing critical thinking. We're trying to think about what's fallible and what's infallibility thinking, deductive logic, inductive. Most of the time when you see this world, it's in this world of fleeting glances of things, and it moves along so fast, and you're just trying to figure out what's happening in this world, and there's an inductive logic that comes on for all of us. As I look out my window and I see a red thing fly by, I think it's a cardinal, but there's a chance that it was another kind of bird. It's not positive. I'm not analytic. I didn't take a picture of that. That's the kind of thinking that we have to do every day, and we have to do this in MGTOW too. We have to do that with risk assessment. We have to do that with how we run our life, the introspections. What part do I play in this? That's a lot of thinking. And that's a lot of fallibility in a lot. There's a lot of fallibility, and we do risk reduction that decrease the amount of fallibility, so we can do a more deductive thinking on the decisions we make in our life. This will be horrible if you do that. We're saying 86% to 92%, depending on your your job. If you're a soldier or a police officer, there's a 92% chance you're going to get a divorce, and she's going to make you a slave. But hey, if you buy into that make her fat and pregnant, find a stupid one that'll be subservient, PUA thinking, yeah, you have a 92% chance. Most men have an 86% chance. Them are real numbers. We don't make those numbers up because we try to reduce the risk. We try to, and there is slight amounts of risk. It's not infallible. You can't ever find a theory on this planet except for like 2 + 2 is 4. And Descartes talks about the evil demon that convinces you that 2 + 2 is 5. Now there's formal logic where Cartesian logic kind of falls apart. There's formal logic that comes in, which I'm talking about, that 2 + 2, if you have two subsets, one subset of 2 oranges and one subset of 3 oranges, that makes you have 5 oranges. And that's the way mgtows have to think in this whole thing. Sometimes 2 + 2 is 5 if you have 2 subsets. You have to look for those tricks and those traps in life where, yeah, I think it's a cardinal that flew by, and it doesn't really matter in my life that a red bird flew by, and I don't quite know what kind of red bird it was, but I'm just going to take for granted. That's inductive thinking, where I'm going to take for granted that was a red bird. Now we get into the theories and logic of of women too. We're thinking very inductively. Is it a red bird? Is it a black bird? Is it a monogamous bird, or is it a traditional bird? Is she going to be subservient? Is she going to be monogamous for the rest of her life? No, she isn't. We talk about those things. No, she isn't. There's no such thing as monogamy with women because they have no honor, because they have conscience by concern. The next jacana that comes by, and I use the bird jacana. If you know the bird jacana, you'll know biologically what a jacana is, and it's an insult in Brazil if you get called a jacana. If someone calls you a jacana in Brazil, it's a big insult, because the jacana is the bird that he sits on the egg. He's dominated by the larger. There's a morphic size to the female where he gets dominated, and then the other female bird, she flies around, and she flies and she beats his ass, and then she busts the eggs of the female, and she grabs them and she takes them and makes a mate with her. That's the kind of society we're running into here, with the simp male not doing critical thinking for himself anymore. It's not all intuitive, but you have to do a certain amount of critical thinking. And I like to talk about the intuitive thinking in misogyny. When someone calls somebody misogyny, it's an intuitive feeling that someone hates women, which is your opinion, which is an opinion about a gender, which is misandry. You see how those things work into absurdity? You can start doing the infinite ideas on these things, and then they wind out. And but as for mgtow goes, if you're a traditional conservative, please go over to the MRA and try to. There ain't enough bitch slaps in the world to make a woman subservient. The monk slap don't even work. The 1.04, see that 0.4 seconds. You didn't see it because because the monk slap comes in 0.4 seconds. You can't even throw a monk slap hard enough to make a girl subservient, and that's an impossible idea. There's hypergamy. There's no such thing as a no walt. They're all a walt. MGTOW metaphysics explain this. All women are like that. All women are like what? This is the prepositional statement in the PDQ logic. All women are like what? All women are like women. It's a true statement. A walt is a true statement. The no walt is is simply we do that in a sarcastic manner So you're looking for a Nawalt, huh? You're looking for one of those unicorns out there, because we know in mgtow that that's not going to happen, because we've studied the biology of this thing. So I hope you're having a good day, guys. mgtow Sunday, you're all forgiven for your past, but we can all grow up out of the mild case of mgtow that some of these people are projecting. There's a lot of cases of mild case of mgtow where they don't know a lot about mgtow. They just think frat boy and woo, I'm going to hit it and quit it, and and I'm an independent free male, woo. But they don't know that freedom and serenity are the same things, and free from is not free to. They think that freedom is freedom to hit it and quit it and run away and fuck up your lives. The mgtow we're talking about is a freedom from. It's serenity. It's freedom. They're synonymous with each other. We're freedom from these things. We distance ourselves from these things. We take an observation of the we're taking observation of the planet that we live on and the absurdities of gender dynamics. And I explained most of them I've explained most of them in the previous dialogue in this podcast, but we still, to this day, and it just screws me up when I hear a statement of men that are of MRAs that are demanding some kind of subservience. And Ibmore does this a lot. You just got to slap her down, man. If you slap her down, you're going to go to jail. Then you're going to find out what a 1 to 5 term is in jail. And then you're going to be subservient. If you get married, you're volunteering for subservience. You're almost guaranteed. And there's guys, like I said earlier, there's guys that are out there looking for that woman that displays attributes of Keller Williams, the subservient female, the domesticated female. And that was my monologue for today. And I want you guys to internalize that. And we're going to bring in the guest of Clean Latifah that I think Clean Latifah is in. And I'm a life coach, Trav, trauma stab wound life coach. How you doing, Joey?
Good. Just recovering from the stabbing last night.
Oh, you got stabbed again? Was it in the back?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're my heart.
Yeah. I'll be all right, though. I'll be all right. Thanks for doing the podcast this morning. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Or this afternoon.
Yeah, I did my monologue and explained mgtow, and now we'll just talk about things. I know it's your friend. You said your friend likes the girls with the goofy faces.
Yeah, I had a friend like that. Yep. Yeah, he was kind of interesting guy.
He was traditional conservative, wasn't he? He wanted the girl to be subservient. He was looking for that, and I was trying to explain Keller Williams or Williams disease, and there's slight cases of Williams disease. And Williams disease is the domesticated human. When humans get domesticated, they're a lot like pigs. They lose their fur. They get rounded features. And we're exactly like any other animal which you domesticate. Dogs, they lose their pointy ears. They get domesticated, rounded features. And humans, we don't believe this until we look at a kid with Keller Williams disease and we go, oh, that's the product of domestication. And when men find that attractive, like Juliette Lewis, or what's the girl's name that does the action figure girl that goes into the caves and steals the artifacts and stuff like that? I can't remember her name.
Well, I'll give you one, though. Sarah Jessica Parker is a good example. She has like a horse face or whatever.
Yeah, the goofy face. She has what I would call a mild case of Williams. And men find that attractive. Why? Yeah. Because it signifies subservience.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Because I can think of some actresses.
But one of the things that go along with a mild case of Keller Williams is lower thinking. So you're going to have kids with lower thinking. These kids, if you have a male child, he's going to be very subservient. He's going to be the slave. And then we look out over our society and we wonder why that men have this slave mentality, and not a lot of them are mgtows.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what men choose. Traditional conservatives choose it. And I can look over the Senate and I see, you know, Mitch McConnell, he looks like the turtle, doesn't he?
Oh yeah. How about the Lindsey Graham too? He's
Yeah,
another guy.
Lindsey Graham too. They both have mild cases of Keller-Williams disease. They're not like me or you. They're not part of our kind. They're the slaves. And why they want the traditional conservatism is because they do have that kind of, it's bred into them over 1,000,000 years. They are the slaves.
When I first saw Lindsey Graham, I was like kind of horrified. And the
Yeah,
other guy,
kind of horrified.
the other guy you just mentioned, he's even worse. Mitch, what's his name?
Mitch McConnell. Yeah.
Oh my God! You look at his face, and he's like,
You
I
look
mean,
at his face.
yeah, he's terrible.
He's horrible. Yeah, that's what these. And when you look at their choice of females, you can observe this as a MGTOW. Go look at Williams disease. Go look at the observable features. You can see this, and see this. Now you look at Bernie Sanders. He's just an old man, but he don't look nothing like that. He don't look like a slave to me.
Yeah, yeah.
That guy, he just mouths off. He just says anything he wants to say in a really mean, nasty way. And but that's what I see when I see MGTOW with these guys trying to negotiate with MGTOW. First thing I have to look and say, are you the R word, which we're not allowed to say, and we'll say Canadian. Are you Canadian?
Yeah.
That's a joke. I'm sorry, Canadians. I just like.
Yeah. Sorry, RP.
Sorry, RP.
Oh, this is a very interesting topic, though, because I do notice that, like, you're right. They're almost looking for these awkward autistic.
They're
women.
looking awkward, autistic. The big. I brought this up because my buddy just went through this, and he picked a girl, and then I looked at the kid. She was a baby mama, so she had kids prior to that. And I looked at her face, and then I kind of looked at the kid's face, and I thought, oh God, there's Williams disease. And he just made a baby with her, but she's quite attractive.
Mm-hmm.
But he's looking for that substrate. And then he was telling me, she says, don't worry about like taking care of these things. Don't worry about it. And she's always doing that because she's the slave. It's like, oh, that is so horrible. But she is a baby mama that had 3 other kids before that. With 3 other dudes. And that always
and I don't want to be graphic, but it's like a sex slave. That's almost what they're looking for. Because in nature,
that's their nature.
Well, yeah, no, but I'm saying in nature, like sex is not really a big deal. It's more like it's more about hunting and surviving. It's not about that's not. And sex is like to procreate, right? In nature, right. It's not really to have pleasure, but everything's flipped around in our goofy society.
Everything's upside down.
Yeah, it is, because a lot of men now they think sex is such a big deal. But in nature, you look at nature, animals don't really do a lot of procreate. They do it, and then they're trying to build a tribe so they can hunt and kill animals and survive.
Right. That's all they're doing is trying to build a community.
Right.
Have a communal force.
Right. Right. You don't want to, in nature, you don't want, does a woman really want to breed with a guy like Lindsey Graham or Mitch McConnell?
No.
No.
Well, like people, like people. That's what I see with the traditional conservatives is they think that's okay. They think it's okay to be domesticated animals. You notice they all shave.
Exactly. Right. They couldn't survive in nature for probably a day. They would check into the they would check into the Ritz-Carlton the next day. They wouldn't last.
It's like when I talk about all these things when the hurricane hit New York there, and all these people were out in the streets screaming for bottled water.
yeah. Guys like us, we go out in nature. I mean, you'd be better off than me, but I don't have the experience. But for me, I would survive because I'm big, I'm strong, and I would find a way. I could kill a deer with my hands if I had to. Maybe not a deer, but I could kill most animals. Weaker animals, I guess I could catch. I could just kill them with my hands if I had to eat.
Yeah, a cat or a rat or something. But what you would do is logically deduct that there's 40 gallons of water in your hot water tank.
Yeah.
Right. storage unit. It's called your hot water tank. It'll get you
Right.
by if you can't get by 40 gallons in 2 days
Mhm.
before they turn the water on, these people are idiots.
Yeah.
And that's what we're breeding in our society. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I totally agree with you.
there's stories that we use around MGTOW to try to get this idea of the men about Animal Farm, the pig farm. Animal Farm. We're talking about how people get domesticated, how animals get domesticated, and they talk about it. Who wrote Animal Farm? Oh, Huxley, Julian Huxley, and Aldous Huxley are just some of the most brilliant people on this earth. They come from a brilliant family. That was no inbreeding in that family. They were all doctors, lawyers, and philosophers and writers. And that was, man, I wish I can get in that family. But
Yeah.
they talk about these things. They talk about the farm animals. Who was the most domesticated? And they didn't. They said it in offhand ways because I'm allowed to say this stuff on now freedom of speech. Sometimes they take me down for saying this stuff, but it's truth. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for truth in our philosophy.
Well, I was listening to some information about the doctor was talking about. So what it is, how your brain develops. It's like the children that are getting more nutrients, right, when they're younger. Which nutrients mostly going to come from meats.
Right.
Like raw meats and saturated fats, like good fats.
Yeah.
That's the kind of meals that their families are feeding them, right? Just the raw milk, all this kind of stuff, right? That builds up their brain chemistry stronger, right? Compared to, so you get a lot of these parents that are vegans or like,
oh God,
they're feeding their children all these crap, like all this junk, and that's why their brains don't develop as
right.
As well, because you don't, it's a terrible thing to. I was like shocked when I'm listening to this guy.
Yeah, there's two really horrible ways to go about this thing, and the Atkins diet is one horrible way, and then the veganism is another horrible way when you got to supplement other things, proteins and amino acids, when you're a vegan. Now, if you eat all meat, then it's why a well-balanced dinner is so important. And people that eat vegetables, meat, and a starch product are going to have better balanced brains because of the intake to the from the neurons to the I can't remember. I'm going to figure that out one. I can't remember the clinical name of the sugar intake. You got to have, so you can learn. It goes to your hippocampus. Then if it gets stuck every time in between, then you never learn anything. But a well-balanced diet, and that's why I do the blueberries. That's why I do the chocolate. Two pieces of chocolate, four almonds, a quarter cup of blueberries, and maybe a glass of wine at night to increase your ability. And I am walking proof that works. You can Neo-Darwinism works. And
but those marbled steaks that are like medium rare or less, those are actually the best. That's the best source of food for your body because of all the minerals and vitamins. A lot of these plant-based foods, they don't have that. They don't have those good fats and stuff. So those marbled steaks are probably the best thing you can eat. And
they're delicious too.
But you can see, they're delicious too, right? It's a beautiful thing because your body likes it.
Your
body likes it. Yeah, your body likes it because exactly. Liver, like you get if you can stomach like I bought some liver. I just can't stomach eating it raw right now. You want to get to that point. Yeah, you want to get to that point where you're eating like raw liver because, and I'm saying that because you got to look it up scientifically. It makes sense because because you notice like you go into like the inner city and they don't have a lot of money, but they have a McDonald's and and they got all these junk food. I go into the dollar store over in the ghetto here and they don't have any good food there. It's all garbage food, and that's what they're feeding their children, are these candies and processed foods, and that's why that's why it's not just the ghetto; it's just any poor area, right? Well, we call it
Poor
ghetto,
way,
poor area.
yeah.
Yeah, they don't have access to this
To
food. They can't afford it, and they can't afford it a lot of times. They can't afford that food, so they got to eat what they, whatever Chef Boyardee or whatever the heck they're feeding their kids, and it's really sad to see because steaks are expensive. Like that kind of food's expensive.
okay. Is Black Wolf? You were okay. I got you, and I'll send you. Rick says Black Wolf wants to jump in, and I'll send him a invite in his hangout, a private
Yeah.
hangout.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Yeah. It's good to have a guest. Yeah, it's good to have
Good to have a
instead of hearing me yapping all the time. But yeah, but that ties into a lot of things. The food you eat and how you develop, right? How you develop your personality and your intelligence, and because if you're, it's like the thing with cholesterol. I mean, you don't want to reduce your cholesterol. Causation is not correlation. I was talking to a friend about that, saying, "Oh, you got to get your cholesterol down." Yeah, there is a correlation between like, causation. It's not your body needs cholesterol. Your body needs it. So they got us all screwed up, man, with health. And but that ties into the breeding. That definitely ties into the breeding and
in the breeding and how you look at
that. Yeah, because I know like I don't know. My parents. I mean, I don't know. I think they did a pretty good job overall. But I probably had a little bit. I don't know if they fed me too many carbs when I was a young kid or not, or what the deal was. But I know as a baby, I think they did the right thing, because I think I was like, breast milk was actually good, right, for when you're a kid. I think it's actually good. So But anyway, there's a lot of research on that, and the first person to say that about marbled meat. I know I forgot where you got it from, but that's 100% accurate.
Right. The chemical process with marbled meat for men is there's a testosterone estrogen balance. You need very, very little estrogen in your body. So the estrogen that you need to flush out, it needs a zinc and a hydrogen bonding. The bad fats or the fatty fats. Okay, let me just put it. I don't want every person in the world coming in today, but I'll put it in the link. And
did you trigger them, Joe?
What's that?
Did you trigger them to come in, or they want to come in?
I don't know. We'll see. But no, I don't want to.
No, I know. That's good.
Argue with Joe Buddy today, because that's
Joe Buddy. Yeah, Joe Buddy likes. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a mgtow, come on in. If you're not a mgtow, please. This is Friday. Friday nights are for the argument. Sunday mornings are for logical mgtows that want to discuss mgtow.
Yeah. I noticed that, though. You're right, Joe, because I noticed, like, these guys, I noticed they're more attracted to. I had a friend like that too. He liked these skinny women. Like, that's the last person you want to ever breed with, is someone who's skinny and scrawny and 100 pounds. And I mean, I'm not advocating going ahead and having children or everything, but if you're gonna breed, find someone that's as tall as you can, that's got a little meat on her, and you know what I mean. It's like, right? Or I mean, you don't want to find someone that's scrawny and got bony, but you're right. That's what these men are attracted to a lot of times.
Yeah, they're attracted to female.
Yeah.
That are subservient. You don't want to be subservient. So the rotary practice of foods is the zinc bonding, and what happens is the estrogen bonds to the zinc molecule through a hydrogen bond, and you get your carbon bonding in there, and then it gets flushed out of your. The estrogen gets flushed out in probably a monthly flush, or I don't know if there's a time period on it. Your fats go high, then you work out, and then it goes to your liver, and it flushes through your liver, and that's the only way you get rid of estrogen.
Yeah.
So, but man, it just bothers me when I see these statements from men that they want their women to be subservient.
Yeah.
What that is, it's 100. They want a virgin. They're jealous males. if the woman acts like most of them act, if a woman's like a PUA and a predator out there, they think, oh, she's a whore. They do the slut shaming. They show their jealousies. They show their immaturities. It tells me, man, what are you looking? You're looking for a little kid that's subservient, that wants to be fat and naked in your prison apartment. No woman wants that.
Yeah, and they prioritize sex, like I said. They prioritize that as the most important thing, or something like. Yeah. And that's like, and just look at nature, because that's I've been listening to this guy, and he talks about nature, how you have to mirror, like it's important for humans to mirror what goes on in nature. And like I said, in nature, they don't really value sex that much. It's valued just to procreate and create a tribe. I mean,
okay.
Yeah. It's not, you know what I mean? Yeah. So when we prioritize that, it gets us into a lot of bad situations.
It gets you into a bad situation, and then when men do these things and they get to outside of their risk factors and outside of the good risk factors into the bad risk factors like that, then you get hypergamy, then you get divorce, then you're going to be a slave. There's so many things that arise from that kind of thinking. And that's when we have to do, we have to think about Cartesian thinking and how to think properly. And I do a lot of that around here. And people once in a while ask me, why do you do all that with deductive, inductive thinking and infallibility and fallibility and coherence theories and all that? I do it for a reason, because that's what's going to keep you out of these risky situations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ooh, it's cold in here. I gotta get a heat light. I'm gonna take one of these lights out, and I gotta put a heat lamp in there so the heat lamp comes down on me, because this back room is just so freaking cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was that other topic we were talking about the other day? I can't remember what you wanted to talk about.
Apex predator, like how.
Predator, but that goes into the same sort of thing. The apex predator, the human male is the apex predator. But how does he get to be an apex predator?
Yeah.
By abiding by the rules of men, by doing, the red meat and the aggressive thinking and those things. It's like, I'm not going to beat up a lion, but I can sure snare and trap a lion and kill him with a stick.
Right. Absolutely.
That's because my brain's evolved. It goes back to critical.
Well, that's what they've done. That's what these I don't know if you want to call them the Illuminati or whatever. Like, that's whoever, they've domesticated men, pretty much.
Domesticated
technology.
Men.
Yeah, that's what they've done. And so if a man doesn't know how to shoot a gun or a bow and arrow, and
he doesn't know how to hunt, he can't figure out how to buy his own burger,
right.
It's usually, you can see the visual characteristics of these men too. They have the rounded, the no fear on their face. They're well shaven. They have the eyes that sink, and there's a lot of those examples, and you can see it on their facial expressions. We have to become attuned as mgtow to see these men and understand that, well, that's in his DNA to be that way. And it's going to be hard for that person to change. The simp thinking is hard to change. And once you get out in the wild, you grow your fur back. Like, you're just like a pig, or you become a hog, you become a boar. And it's better to be a boar than a pig.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they feed these kids these tofu, or like, you can't, like, the children, they need red meat. Red meat is like, that's like the food to build civilizations on. It's like that's what they eat in nature, right? Like,
Never look at the truth behind the soy boy line, the soy diet.
No, but it's I'm off car. I'll tell you what, I haven't had carbs, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks now. I don't even crave them anymore, and I've been eating more red meat and raw
Yeah,
fish.
the truth behind that is it's a neologism that was created by a corporation that wants to sell you androtestosterones.
Yeah. Wow.
And we call it androtestosterone. What do we mean? Androgynous testosterones. What do those testosterones do? There's male
Nothing.
testosterone. There's
Toxic. They're
there,
toxic. Aren't they?
yeah, there's male testosterone receptors and there's female testosterone receptors in every person. We all have the same thing, but in the male that it inhibits characteristics like me or you, all the male testosterone receptors inside your body are open. But what these guys want to do is they want to open up the female testosterone receptors, and then you notice the difference between their muscles. They're the rounded muscles and the rounded. And some guys think that's beautiful, and some women think that's beautiful too. But that's androsterone. Soy turns the testosterone open, and it kills the product.
Mhm.
So this whole soy boy thing is
Soy's not made. It's not in nature, is it? Is that a man-made product?
it's a bean that's perfectly healthy for a male that doesn't intake. I don't intake. I have
plant-based. It's plant-based. It's a bean. You said bean?
Yeah, it's a soybean.
Yeah, it's garbage. It's garbage. Garbage. Like beans are garbage. Like they're not. They're
Yeah,
not
so
good.
it's not going to hurt you eating this stuff if you're a natural man. If you're one of those men that take androgenous testosterones, then it's going to hurt you.
Yeah, we have to rethink everything in terms of what
Yeah,
we're putting in
that's
our
part
bodies.
of being a big town. When I heard that
Yeah.
whole way thing come up, I did the science and I went and read the information about it. And I have a way of being able to explain these things to men. You can dig through that for a whole year unless you're a critical thinker and you have the ability to read technical print, then you're not going to get nothing from it. But as soon as you see it, you're going to go, oh, that's what they're talking about. And that's funny.
Even the size of men's brains over the last I don't know, 5 to 10,000. Yeah, I think I saw a graph the other day. Like the size of them, they've decreased like pretty a lot. They've decreased, like with the domestication of man, and all these urbanization and whatever, and you don't have men anymore that there's not a lot of men that can really survive in nature like that. Like the size of the brain's gone down. With these cholesterol drugs or lower your cholesterol. I mean, I know it's a controversial thing, but I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, I think the size of the skull has gone down.
Yeah, the size of the skull. Okay, but even these statin drugs that reduce cholesterol, like your body needs cholesterol. You're not gonna. That's not causation. Is not correlation. Like with the
Causation
with cholesterol.
Yeah,
your body repairs itself with cholesterol. You need cholesterol.
The stupid the humans before us that don't longer exist. They had a hollow large portion of their brain that was filled with water that inhibited higher functions of thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's what they see. There was an almost dinosaur-like crevice in the frontal pre-cortex, which is filled up with fluids. But we can see that in Cro-Magnon man and the skull sizes of humans, and that goes back to there's a migration of humans too.
Yeah.
Which is I can't remember there's a good article about that of migrations of humans. It's got a really funny little it's a little PDF that talks about the migration of humans in South America, which is what it's called. What does rice in Brazil have to do with something in China or something like that? I can't remember what it was called, but it was a good article on migration and when humans went through that process of getting rid of their ancestry, their ape ancestry.
Yeah. But yeah, the apex predator. Yeah, I forgot exactly what it was. I brought up on the chat.
Yeah, you were. We are the. Let me go back and look at that chat. That's in
Yeah.
Hoka, Claire Hoka's. Nope, not okay.
It's in a clear Hoka chat, but it's you gotta
Yeah,
go scroll
I
up.
just opened that other one up and I seen a picture of Juliette Lewis, the most disgusting person.
Oh yeah, she's a piece of garbage, man. Like that movie with Natural Born
Yeah,
Killers, and
natural bone
she's like
killers.
beating up those guys at the diner. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I wish throw me in that scene so I could just punch her in the mouth.
Yeah, yeah, she's gonna judo
These,
chop him and
these women that judo chop and oh my goodness. I remember one guy was telling me like talking about Ronda Rousey. Oh, Ronda Rousey would kick your ass. Dude, I'm like
I
six
remember that
four.
argument. That
I'm
was so
six
funny.
four two fifty. I'm 6'4", 250. I'm very coordinated. Like I was like a pretty good tennis player in high school, but I was a good football player too. I had really good coordination. I could really and I'm tough and I'm like, I would maul her. It's like, and these guys are like, no, she would beat you. She would beat you. Run. That was when she was undefeated and everyone thought she was the
She's
greatest
like
thing since
130
Muhammad Ali.
pounds to 146 pounds.
Yeah,
I can pick up
yeah.
146 pounds with one
Yeah,
arm.
I would just charge her and tackle her and just choke her to death. It's like not to death, but I would just choke her to submission. And it's
Yeah,
like,
that's a stupid
and it's
argument.
like these
Well,
guys
that's
are
what
like soy, but they're soy boys. These guys are like soy boys. They think women have this like physical, promise or whatever. And
Uh,
I don't know, it
hey,
just
let's
cracks
get a
me up.
sound test from
hey,
Black
what's
Hole.
Hey, how's it going, Black Wolf? How you doing?
hey, hey, what's up, man? Took me a while to get back. I had to go get the trash can, man, and go over there. I have to
Oh,
get that because the raccoons they team up to try to
yeah.
open the lid, and I got to take a broom and kind of like
The
swat them away
raccoon,
and
your
everything.
garbage can.
Yeah, yeah, they try to team up, climb up on each other, and open the lid, and then start taking shit. So I had to kind of get them out of there.
We used to be
But
a joke in MGTOW about raccooning a girl. You leave her with two black eyes, and you run out, grab her lunch meat, and kick over a garbage can.
you know, I was listening to the thing you were saying, like let the soy boys believe that. I mean, people don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. Dude,
Yeah,
you can find the most in shape woman would still have a hard time fighting the average dude. I'm like 6 foot, 220,
yeah,
and I'm pretty sure Ronda Rousey can't kick my ass, even with me
yeah.
holding
There's
back.
no way. I see this in mountain biking, which I do a lot of, where the average on the same course, the average female time is a minute less. And then these guys, oh, they're so fast. And this, you get the soy boy comes out and they believe that, ooh, they're competing with the male. No, you're not. You're a minute and 30 seconds less. And we see this in running too.
Oh yeah,
You can take the world record time for a female, and boys in college and boys in high school beat that world record time like all the time.
dude. I mean, it's so bad that if anybody here wants to win like just medals for free, just change your thing, your identification of female, enter women's
Yeah.
sports. Man, hell, I thought about doing that. Just like, hey, hold my
Oh,
Gatorade, hold my
the
Mountain Dew.
that's the big argument right now in the Olympic thing, because they have the transgenders coming in and the men are winning everything, and it's like it's like, so all they got to do is say they're a woman,
Oh yeah.
which is funny.
I love that. That's an example of being careful what you wish for. I want to see a guy do that, like go in, identify as a woman, win all these like medals from female sports, gets on TV and says, "Well, the reason women aren't winning because they all need to woman up like me."
They need to, like, man, yeah, that would be funny. Oh man. So we have a vast number of topics today. So, and you can feel free to hit on any one of them. I was talking about the traditional conservative. Generally, that's my big bitch about MGTOW, is that we have traditional conservatives around that think in that traditional conservative way is like signing up for your own slavery.
Oh yeah, I've had encounters with guys like that. I mean, I was on a stream with dating coach or a life coach, and like he was pretty tolerable, but the rest of his subscribers, like a lot of them, got pissed off at me because I was outright telling them, you don't save a community by having a bunch of babies. Many people seem to think that having
Right.
a kid or having a woman is the end all be all to existence, and some of them got mad because I said the only difference between you guys and MGTOW is like we learn to think with our brains and not our dicks.
yeah, we do critical thinking, and we do risk reduction and everything, and I know how hard it is as a young man. You know how hard it is as a young man too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hormones.
I tell you, your hormones kick in, and it's always 200 miles and a fake ID with me, because I don't believe in fatherhood, and I don't believe there's such a thing as fatherhood. That's a social construct that we get hooked into. That's part of the trap. Uh, and it's just, when you watch these guys, they want these women that are so substandard, and like I was talking about Keller Williams disease, that they show mild cases of Keller Williams, and that's a total subservience.
Oh yeah, and I completely agree. I mean, I have a joke way of how I refer that to people, and they also get mad when I call it like pussy addiction, and they'll
Yeah,
tell you that, oh well, married guys have a somewhat comfortable life, or they live longer, which they don't.
they
But
don't.
I
That's
told I told this to my friend. I was like, well, technically a domestic cat lives longer
yeah.
too, but they don't like they
No,
don't like the analogy.
the whole idea of relieving stress through sex is, you're relieving stress through sex is because you're having stress because you're married. The
Yep.
same thing is giving you the stress. Now, if she cuts you off at any time, you have to live with that stress, and you're probably going to die right around 59.
Yeah, it's a lot like a drug. I mean,
Yeah,
people may hate the comparison, but
it is a
these
drug.
guys these
It's
guys are
more,
really they're addicted, you know? Like
yeah,
it's kind of like when you're used to getting sex all the time and then, the woman leaves. Now you're like these guys actually start having withdrawal symptoms much like a
right.
drug addict. I've seen it. It's
Yeah,
pretty
the
crazy.
separation anxiety is withdrawal from the cuddle drug, which is the not hydro. What's the cuddle drug? But that's 10 times more powerful than heroin, and you have to go through that withdrawal. I went through that withdrawal after I was cured from my traditional conservative ways. And it is a drug, and you release endorphins, you release the peptides, you release all those things from your pineal gland. Is it your pineal gland? Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and those drugs are very powerful, but when you get separated, it's the same thing as a heroin addiction. You got to go through a withdrawal period, and that's why we always tell people in mgtow to stay celibate for a short period of time, and your thinking will clear up. And there's good reasons for that. You get rid of all those drugs. There's bacterial intake too. Bacterial intake blocks your neurons, and females carry, and this is why I got kicked off before, and I said females carry 3 times as much bacteria as us. It's just a common fact. Them bacteria start clogging up your neurons, and they turn on those synapses, which turns on the pineal gland to start producing oxytocin. And that's all it is a chemical process.
I completely agree, and it's true. I mean, it's as funny as it is to say, when you stop dating or you cut yourself off from a lot of crap in mainstream
Yeah,
society, it's like cutting yourself off of a drug. It takes a couple months to leave your system, and once it's gone, you're back to normal or
yeah.
back
Now
to where you need to be.
I can. Back in MGTOW in the early days, we talked about these subjects like we talk about them now. And the real MGTOWs, I think the real MGTOWs, the MGTOW monks, and we know about these things. And I would always say walnut oil and wormwood. Once you separate from a relationship and you want to be a MGTOW, you start taking walnut oil and wormwood, and you're going to notice it has the same effects as, you ever get a flu
Yeah.
and they gave you penicillin,
Hmm.
and then all the bacteria in your body was flushed out, and that you came out of your bedroom after a week and a half in your bedroom, laying around in bed, and the whole world looked different.
Hmm.
That's the same effect. After relationships, you take some wormwood, some walnut oil, or get some penicillin if you can, and take a 4-day dose of penicillin. You look at the world, it looks different. It looks more MGTOWies. I see more men look at the woman they were with in those situations after they get penicillin, and they go, she doesn't look like, she's kind of disgusting. Because they're not addicted then. Because the addiction goes away quite quickly.
That's true.
And anytime a man he clears himself of all that stuff and he becomes a mgtow, he goes celibate, he cleans up his body, and then he can start seeing the world as the world really is. And the world's a harsh place, isn't it?
Oh
Man,
yeah, it's a huge wake up call once you
it's
figure out
huge. That will give men. I remember when I woke up, man, it was so stressful when I realized how cruel and vicious this world was and how I was lied to. And it was like, oh my God, I have to start. I have to develop a whole new lifestyle, and everything in MGTOW was when I found MGTOW, I was so happy. It was like everything in MGTOW led me down that road where I was no longer an addicted to the pee. I was no longer addicted to a lot of alcohol, drugs. That all them things left me. I matured. I woke up. I started thinking a whole different process. My neurons cleared up, and I started reading actually again, and it changed my whole life. And from that point in my life, I was able to go to school. I was able to do learning properly, and I tell a lot of those guys, and I get really mad that being with a woman all the time and that estrogen and the estrogen and the bacteria and the drugs that are going through your body reduces your IQ points by about 30.
Yeah, and the stress alone is going to kill you because
Yeah, stress alone.
that's what I was like. This guy I've been listening to, Sudhi gave me the link. It's really good. This guy's sharp. He says people with sedentary lifestyles, they tend to live longer than the people that are overly active. But the thing is, like, it's the stress that they bring on every day when you feel that blood pressure going up, when she's yelling at you for not putting her toilet seat down, all this crazy shit.
Yeah, you used the little bars of soap, belly
Yeah.
soap. Like, man, I had to wash my hands.
Yeah, just total disrespect, and that's not a way to live. And then I want to bring up another point you brought about. It's a predatory world, like. So yeah, just look at nature, right? How predatory is everything? Like we should be mirroring nature, right? So everything just shifted. Instead of us like going out and hunting and killing animals like we did like for I don't know, thousands of years or more, right? Like the predator, it's changed now into more of a financial predatory type thing, right? Where everyone's trying to gather resources through money and all this other shit, right? So it's just something to think about. But that's what women are. Women are like you bring it up all the time, Joe. Women are the they're very predatory, like even more so than men in a lot of ways, right?
I got a person at my door, so I'm gonna zero out.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it was. I don't know. It's a terrible thing, that stress. That's what just kills you is not being able to sleep in when you want or whatever. Resting your body. You got a woman nagging on you all day.
That's why I call it, like if these dudes want to fucking play Minesweeper, let them do it. I mean, I used to have sympathy for the simps, but after, I went in different streams of these life coaches, these dating coaches, and I went in there open minded. Immediately, people got pissed off about the MGTOW thing. Then finally, when I explained it, everyone was like, "Oh, that life is very lonely." And I said, "No, just because I'm alone doesn't mean I'm lonely. I have my animals, I have my books." And they're like, "Oh, got to help the community and whatnot." And I told them, "Fuck the community. Community ain't never done a damn thing for me, so I'm not gonna, you know, stress myself out over it." And I realized that like something dawned on me. And I don't know if anyone like you or anyone in the comment section will agree with me on this, but the life coaches and the dating coaches are more incel than the incels are. I
Yeah.
mean, they do the same shit and they get mad at us. Because I keep telling them, if these men aren't dating, is that more women for you then? Why are you pissed off at us? And I realize why they're mad at us. They're mad at us for two reasons. One, we give our message away for free because a lot of them make money off of their crap. And two, They don't they don't like when people tell the freaking truth. They hate that.
Yeah.
And they don't it messes their whole game up, their hustle. Because being a dating coach is really just a hustle. I mean, a life coach, a lot of MGTOW life coaches, you would think they'd be cool with us, but but they get mad at us because they're dating coaches that disguise themselves as life coaches, and then when you call them out on their hypocritical BS, and then they want to get mad and block you and go, oh, he's an incel, he's this, he gets rejected a lot. Who hurt you and all this other stupid shit like you're gay. It's just it's really funny. I see men doing things that have always been traditionally feminine and trying to spin it off as masculine behavior, yet everybody else is the feminine ones. What's what's masculine about being beholden to a chick that treats you like crap in a society that treats you like crap while trying to compare girlfriends to other men like with other men like jewelry? That's pretty damn feminine to me. Don't know about anybody else.
Yeah, that's a really good statement right there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, these life coaches, yeah, they're just they walk around like they have no problems, like they've solved everything. They solved all they have all the answers, which no one does. You have to continue learning. I mean, MGTOW is definitely a step in the right direction in terms of getting answers, but we always got to keep learning and growing. We're not like going to a life coach, not especially if they're not a MGTOW. That's definitely tells you right there they haven't done enough introspection.
Yeah, make
Yes.
life coaches people without problems telling you how to solve problems by not having no problems.
Hey, the kicker about all this is here's one thing that none of these dating or life coaches will be able to tell me or anybody in this room. Okay, they got everything figured out, everything's all squared away, and their life's together. Why the hell do they need my donation then?
Right. Yeah.
Why they need my money then?
Just bother me on MGTOW. Sorry, I had a guy. He wants to do a tune-up in my driveway, so it's like leave that at the door. So yeah, people without problems that are trying to tell you not to have problems. We all have problems. Life's fallible. It's just everything goes wrong and everything's entropy. And unless you learn how to do that yourself, you're not going to go to some YouTube guy that presents himself as a that I got no problems, and he does what I call is if you were like me policy. If you were just like me, then you wouldn't have no problems, and people without problems are going to help you answer all your problems by not having no problems. That's stupid.
It really is. I mean, a lot of them don't see it. I mean, that's like if I made a video right now. Okay, everybody, look at the simp. Now back at me. Now back at him. Now back at me. Sadly, he is not me.
He's not me. He'll never be me, and of course, he'll never be you.
Yeah, that's their selling point. They sell fool's gold, the pipe dream, and then it's a hustle.
Yeah, it's a hustle, and then it's always back to the traditional thing. You can get yourself a girl, and she'll be in your house, and your house is gonna be beautiful. And it's that picket fence, white picket fence, and the perfect family, and that's fantasy fiction land. Whew. It's a big trap, isn't it? We always say it. This thing that they do, the traditional lifestyle, is a big trap. And it always goes back to you're trapped, and it's always going to end the same way. Like dragging your resources out of you. She's going to move on. That's the way women are. And MGTOW's I see this a lot on the MRA boards that they think they're gonna slap a woman back into subservience. That's not gonna happen. There ain't a monk slap in the world hard enough to slap a woman back into subservience. And and why would you want that anyways?
I think I have a theory for that. I had a dude that I was talking to in a stream, in one of them life coaches stream. He was telling me, "Oh, the reason Black Wolf's angry is because I control women better than him. Back in the day, I was a pimp and all this other stuff."
Yeah, he was a pimp.
And I was thinking, man, do you really believe you controlled them? He's like, yeah, and they were going out doing my bidding. I'm like, okay, so it's pretty obvious they controlled you then. That's what you're telling me at this point.
That's what they're saying is they're being controlled, and that's what pimping. It was the first guy that they used the word simp was it was the black guy who's doing the walk through he was walking through the parking lot in the parking garage, and he said, "Man, simping ain't easy." Because they always come back with this analogy that you had to have your pimp hand strong. And that's such a man, like I said, there's not a you can't do that with they've got a billion years of evolution in them that says sexual cryptist is dominant, and they hide their fertility for a reason. Why do they hide their fertility? So they can gain resources from the community. We were talking about communal thinking.
Exactly. This is why you know it's a double-edged plan, and people get mad when I point this out. The reason a lot of these women keep saying community and trying to make everything about race is just for this particular reason. Without a community, women can't extort resources from people, and that's why they air quote care about the community more than anyone.
Now, the community in their eyes, now the male community, the alpha male community, which you're talking about, the dominant apex predator male community, is totally different. It's totally different. And we generally hinge on masculinity where, man, I don't care what a woman's doing. We get them pregnant, they get pregnant, we put them in housing complexes, we take care of them, and we forget about it. That's what we do in the optimum male community. But we have this other community now that you have taxes, they're overtaxed. The system itself eats most of the taxes up, so they never make it to so we can have babies and take care of them. But it never makes it to that. Most of this society that we live in is such a lie, because who's paying for those buildings? Well, that's coming out of your tax. Who's paying for those health and human service workers? Well, that's coming out of your taxes. Every time that happens, your taxes go up, and we wonder why. We can cut taxes if we got rid of marriage and divorce and the health and human service system as we know it. That would cut your taxes by 2/3. And then we get into the male community where we all just do our thing. We bring home the meat, and we don't worry about these petty jealousies. We don't worry about the girls being subservient, because you just put them in a housing complex and you take care of them so they can grow the babies up to be fine human beings then. And we don't worry about all those things. But the first thing that happens is she's not a virgin no more. And that's jealousy, and that's immaturity. And that's what we got to get rid of in our society, is that traditional thinking that you're going to make her a slave, you're going to slap her down. It's like, that's garbage. That's playing right into the sexual cryptus, and they don't even see it. It's like, oh yeah, every girl wants to have 4 slaves, baby daddy number 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
And when they have that college version of mgtow that I'm gonna run around hitting it. Well, you know how babies are made? This immature frat boy thinking that we see out there with the PUAs. Do these guys know how babies are made?
And they think that life is just super safe. I mean, even outside the whole baby things, these idiots like I made this joke, 'cause I'm always making jokes to explain my point, and they don't like that at all. And I say, yeah, it's all fun and games till it burns when you pee.
Yeah, it burns when you pee. Yeah, there's risk out there too. These guys, the PUAs crack me up the most, because you look at Neil Strauss and you look at Rollo Tomasi, they're both married now. One's married and divorced, and the other is probably going to get a divorce. And he looks about as masculine. Tomasi looks about as masculine as Queen Latifah. That was an opening, Joe.
Hey, don't mess with Queen Latifah, man. She was a rapper too. She was a gangster rapper.
That's funny. That's funny. Queen Latifah gonna beat up a 270-pound man and and just jack him up and throw him 10 feet. That's not going to happen in real life. Man, we live in such an absurd world of absurd, and it's all gender dynamics. It boils down to us doing the gender dynamics properly, but we can't even break through in the scientific community because we got so much simping.
Well, that's why your point about being an apex predator is so important, because that's how a man can gain a lot of confidence. Say, hey, you got to believe in yourself, because we are the apex predator. We're intelligent enough to kill animals. The toughest, baddest animal on the planet. We have technology that can kill it, right? So, but that's just like a kind of nature type thing. But apply that to how we are now, right? How our society is now. You should have confidence in yourself when you go on a job interview or or whatever, you have a career that you want to pursue, or something like that, most people are today, they want to portray men as a bunch of bumbling idiots.
Right. Yeah. No, it's my morning
mean,
coffee. I do this every morning.
Yeah,
It's
and that's not.
my morning coffee with God. I get my coffee. I put it down. I have that that perfect silence in the morning when you're drinking your coffee. It's like beautiful. And I go, okay, God, if you're up there, come down. No one's here. You can come down. And when he doesn't show up, every morning he doesn't show up, I have to become the apex expert. I have to sit in the God chair. I have to get out there and I have to be the fucking dude. And I have to do that for myself because there ain't nothing else going to do it for me.
true. That's
And
the thing.
that's how religion corrupts us too. We think there's some magic creature out there and that all intertwines with that traditionalism. The traditional conservatives are mainly religious people. They believe in some magic fucking, he's going to come down and you put your trust and hope in him and he's going to take care. No, he's not. I do
No,
the ritual every morning where I discard myself from that kind of thinking.
if there is some magic deity up there, I mean, my whole envisionment, if there's a God, this is what he did. He looked down there and said, okay, I want all of you to pass butter, like essentially just keep mating and doing the traditional thing. Okay, boss, he leaves, go to all the other deities. They actually believed me.
They actually believe me. Yeah. Now, the Cartesian thinking, the first thing he does is the evil demon. Is there an evil demon out there putting thoughts in my mind? Is 2 + 2 5? As like, no, the 2 + 2 is 4, and there's no evil demon out there. And we do this in mgtow. We do that with the fencing with fencing with windmills. We draw in the MRA. They draw up this evil demon as feminism, and then they're like Don Quixote out there fencing with a fucking windmill. That's just an aberration in their mind of the evil demon. And God is that same sort of evil demon. Something you have this God thing, something to aspire to. Like Jesus was, you're supposed to aspire to be in him. And that's not a great thing. I don't want to be some guy nailed to a cross and living a horrible life. Man, religion is just like so corrupt. And I think it's the first thing MGTOWs need to get over.
Seriously, because I'm not, like, I used to be very Roman Catholic, but I'm not
Yeah.
religious anymore. Most PUAs and these track talk conservatives, they function on, like, they just go hand in hand with the religion. And then when they meet people like me, they get very infuriated to the point where they're cussing me out. And I
Yeah.
tell them all the time, if you need a book, and it's fine if you want to use the book as cautionary tales or whatnot, the book of fairy tales, but if you need a book to tell you how to live your life and you can't think for yourself, and that's just sad. That is freaking sad. I mean, people don't want to think for themselves. They don't want to live for themselves.
Right.
They just want to be happy little drones. And the whole reason that, and I'm going to say it, we made religion up. That's really what it was.
Yeah.
Some dude wrote some crap in his time period that thought people were going to like, because in the early days of man, we were running around there. We were killing shit. That was the only reason to stop us from indiscriminately killing crap.
Yeah.
Because
it is an early way of I talk about people that were that didn't have ever been influenced by Catholicism or that, and then people that it was a way for them to push their government, their new means of governing, and part of their new means of governing was their whole marriage system, where they have simp thinking, which is the traditional conservative marriage system, which is just simp thinking, where you're jealous all the time, you're miserable all the time, you're addicted to chemicals, and that rolls down in your life. You're addicted to alcohol, you're addicted to work, you're addicted to all sorts of things. Pee. And that slip V becomes your God.
true.
Man, yeah. I do that exercise every morning for a reason. When I sit down, and it's like, and it comes from my exercise comes from Camus, what was it? The myth of Sisyphus, when he's trying to explain this to people, and they totally went over their heads about there is no such thing as God, and you're the guy rolling the rock up the hill, and the people in the town below, they like the idea that you're rolling that rock up the hill. That's labor. Yeah, become the rebel in your life. That's the first thing mgtows do, is become a rebel. We start questioning skepticism. Rebel, become a metaphysical rebel. Start asking questions in your life.
Yeah, and you got to look who's benefiting from the religion.
Yeah.
These people that like you said, do lighter than air type work. They're making money.
Yeah.
They're taking your money that you're taxed on, and they're not taxed on it. They're controlling you with a bait and switch on marriage, like making that whole ritual seem like it's so, till death do us part, all this kind of crazy stuff, but just breaking down the Bible, like that's another one. Like there's no evidence that like Jesus even existed outside of the Bible. So the evidence is poor as it is. So, just do your research that way, and like there's a book called Christ Conspiracy. It's probably the best spiritual book ever written. And it was, and it shows that how Christianity was stolen from all these prior religions, right? They're all like stealing ideas from each other to create a book that people can follow, and they can control they can control their thoughts, and they can do like this whole thing about faith. Like we talked about faith, hope, and love. Those are all like terms that don't cost anything, and that's what they're trying to sell you. And then what's the other one? Like salvation. They're trying to, like Christianity, they're giving you this sin that you're born with, and then we got the answer to it. They're trying to save you from your own sins, that they gave you. It's just absolute bunch of nonsense.
There's a little book out there. It's a deviation from religion, and it's called I Am God. And once we start believing that we are the gods, we are the sentient creatures on this planet, and it hooks itself with the Cartesian dualism, where your brain, you're having this internal monologue with yourself. And who's my favorite person? Joey? I am. If I get stuck in a room when the electric's out, I start thinking, and I start thinking thoughts. You should be comfortable with the thoughts you're thinking, and we talk about this in mgtow, not having muddled thinking, not having. What happens when all those chemicals react with their brain, and you have estrogen running around in your system, you get muddled thinking, and the eternal dialogue with yourself God, gets with you are God, and you're the alpha, you are the the infinite male on this planet. You are the thing that makes this thing all happen. Once you get comfortable with that, having internal dialogue with yourself, man, you found really something. And that's the idea.
Out of curiosity, who's the book by? I want to buy this book. I Am God.
There's a couple authors. I just bought one with a woman author, and you have to get over that thing about hearing a woman's voice talk. But she'll explain it very good about I am God, and it goes with my coffee theory. When I wake up in the morning, I say, okay, come on down, and then he doesn't come down, and then I have to become God. That reaffirms my belief that I take the God seat, and I'm in charge of my life. And I'm not putting it in hope and faith in that, but I'll get you there's a few of them. The whole idea, you'll have to go through the whole idea and then figure out which pundit or which guy that's explaining it. And it has to do with some of them will start going into the weird theories of calling out to an infinite force in the universe, which answers you in your brain. But it actually is just Cartesian dualism, where you're talking to yourself. You're having internal monologue with yourself instead of relying on people around you. They have internal monologue. Now, you notice with traditionalites, they don't do internal monologue with themselves. Their thoughts are muddled because of the chemicals, because of the imbalances in their hormones. They don't have the dualistic mind that we have, which we can have an internal monologue, figure out a problem by yourself, do a math problem, or figure out a problem in life on my own. And that's a problem in this. When we introduce God into that, we're asking for, and we really have to figure out these problems in ourselves. But it's sort of an alternate religion that kind of wakes you up to this idea that I am, and we call them I am. When you have the internal monologue with yourself, you call them I am, and you have that in your your thinking clears up. What is this? Let me go to my. It's not Unfuck Your Brain. That's a good book too. Unfuck Your Brain. If you ever get a chance to read it.
I'm
uh,
definitely down to take book recommendations. I've been doing a lot of reading during this whole Corona thing.
it's called. You could start off with this one. This is the one I started off with. It's a one truth, one law. I am, I create. And that's like Cartesian dualism. I am, I think, ergo sum, whatever it is. I think I am. It's
uh,
called, it's by Erin Weirley. But sure, if you type in just I am God, you'll start seeing the people that are trying to weed people off of Christianity. And
oh, Aaron Weirley, he made the I create. Oh wow, he has a series of books. Wow.
yeah, that's a she, and she. There's a
Oh,
series of,
she.
and she'll tell you about a lot of the other authors that you may be more comfortable with as soon as you get into the idea. No, I just do Camus myself. Camus will tell you in the same ways that I am God on this planet. I'm the alpha. I'm the apex predator. I am.
And you notice how the Christians always use the term Lord, Lord. It's like
Yeah.
very wow, what a submissive thing to say. And then another point I want to add is you notice how like the media always demonizes this whole concept of us being everything, right? Like all within yourself, and like it demonizes that through like I can think of like Silence
Right.
of the Lambs.
They don't want you doing.
That's a perfect example. Yeah, like they try to make it into these people that think they're greater than God and all this kind of stuff. They want to demonize them into
They
these
want to demonize
psychopaths and all this. No, that's not what we're saying.
Yeah.
We're not saying that at all.
The difference between
but
the
that's what
slave
the media
mentality and the difference between the slave mentality and the mentality that I talk about is the internal monologue that goes along in your head that you can do that with yourself alone. And slaves can't do that. Slaves have no internal monologue with this other being inside themselves that when they think they're God. And a slave.
Well, and then they try to say silly things. Well, then if you're God, why don't you part the water, or just like stupid things like that?
We done. We build. Look what we've done. We created. We terraformed our Earth. We've created so the tides no longer wreck cities. We have a city of Venice built on water. Yeah, we've done that already.
Yeah, exactly. And men are the ones that have created it. It's not like a woman. Like women don't do plaster walls in London.
Yeah, I like that joke about Claire with a plaster knife.
Yeah, yeah. She doesn't plaster she didn't paint the Sistine Chapel.
No.
Claire.
All she do is stand in the back. That's funny, Claire.
Well, that's one of the best videos you ever did. Like,
losing you a little there, Joe.
You're roboting, brother.
He roboted out. He walk away from his mic.
Hell, it happens. He'll be back.
StreamYard
does that from time to time, but yeah, man, it was when I dropped religion, that was very hard for me because it was such a major part of my life, to the point where it crushed me not only to know the nature of women, but it also crushed me to know that my religion wasn't helping me, and it as much as I thought it was.
Right, they're buying into that whole thing that was putting you in jeopardy.
It really was, and I changed my outlook to where everyone knows. I mean, even I deal with nature, I deal with animals and everything, and that brings me peace. I mean, like raising wolves and like I've been around dangerous animals. I've been around the mountains, the woods, and stuff. And for some people, they find that weird or they hate that, but I find that it brings me great peace because I didn't enjoy my life in the city. My life in the city was terrible. I could hear everything. I was stressed out. And then this was the remedy to it. They gave me these damn antidepressants that I didn't really need.
Right.
And that made me fucking suicidal for a while. And just when I discovered mgtow, it was pretty funny because it was like that X-Men movie where Xavier, Professor X, he puts on Cerebro and he goes, "Damn, there are so many mutants in the world right there." It's just he almost wanted to cry because he thought he was by himself.
Yeah, that's the great thing about this is we've all found each other and we all think about the same way. Now we have the entryists that are the biggest problem with mgtow right now that want you to think like them, and that's usually
Yeah.
they're always the political guys that are trying to make you back into the traditional conservatives, and they think that just slapping a woman around is going to work.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
crazy. And then we have well, you've been on with Joe Buddy and those guys. They're all
yeah,
married. They're the entryists. They want you to bring. They want MGTOW to go away because we threaten all of their thinking.
true. I mean, this is why, like, I constantly, in my own little weird way, I make fun of them in my videos. Like, yeah, you know, they're gonna be giving it up for grilled cheese sandwiches, man. Go out there and just pick up a stick and just start whooping,
Yeah,
whooping asses. It's just, I
yeah,
make jokes about it just to show them how silly it sounds and everything, and
yeah. Because
they
you
don't.
got to present it sarcastically, so because there's a negation in it. The negation sums up how absurd it is that they think that way. Uh, yeah, but you're right about getting down to the woods, getting down. You see that picture in the background there?
Hmm.
That's where I drive my bike to. And I get out there, I collect my rocks. There's a river there. I go fishing. I, uh, I'm a rock hound, so I like collecting rocks. So I can I have all the equipment here to break them down and see what's inside of them and everything. It's one of my passions in life. It's a hobby, and once you start taking on those little hobbies like you do, you like wolves, and you find the MGTOW in that, and that replaces all that other bullshit in your life.
Exactly, and one of the things I realized is some people like that the negative stimuli. It's like a drug for them. They have to be around drama. They have to be around stress because they spend so little time self-reflecting or actually working on themselves is that
Right.
that they try to promote it to everyone else. It's funny, the very people who keep telling everyone to work on themselves, and especially in mainstream society, fail to be able to do it. How can I teach you something that I don't know?
How can
And
I teach you? Yeah.
that's what the main culture is doing now. You have the blind leading the blind.
Yep. Yep. I see it all day. People walk by me on that path, and it's a very popular path once you get off of it on there. But I can see them. They never veer from out into the woods. They never go look at the natural things that are out there that they have no idea is just in their neighborhood. Uh, I say, first thing you should do as a MGTOW is go to the park, explore the park, start exploring what right behind Joey there's a plant. That plant is edible. You can peel the bark off of that, and it's sassafras, and you can make andouille sausage with it. And most people walk right by it and not even know it. I mean, it's so funny that we know so little about the environment we live in, which questions me about humans, about how far we've gone from the garden. You know,
And we've strayed away from. I mean, I know technology was always going to push us forward, but what should have happened was nature. We should have tried to make a way for nature to grow harmoniously with technology. Now it just seems like
yeah,
they want to cut down all the damn trees, build a Starbucks here, a liquor store there, and I'm gonna be honest with you, man. If something ever happened, like an EMP was fired, I know a lot of people that are gonna die if they're
yeah.
not gonna make it.
Oh
None
yeah,
of
they
them.
can't even figure out how to get water. I mean, I hate to use cliches from rock songs, but they paved paradise. Uh, man, I know MGTOW Values appreciates cliches from rock songs too. Oh man, but yeah, it's one of the first things. I didn't even know there was this park system. There's a beautiful park system out here. They have bands, they have drinks, they have people go down there to learn stuff. They take courses. I didn't even know that. It
Yeah,
opens up.
there's a lot of ways to for people to involve themselves, and that was one of the things that wasn't told to me, not by my parents, not by anybody that I knew growing up. If you want to get involved, there are tons of ways to get involved with society, or even just like centering yourself. I mean, I tell people all the time, read a book, write a book, play
You-
chess or something. I mean, I did something really silly the other day. I played chess against myself.
Oh, that's fun to do. I used to do that a lot when I was younger. I was in the chess club. You can imagine that. uh, yeah, but that's great. Well, that builds that internal dialogue in your head where you're comfortable with yourself being alone. Uh, that's what I talk about when I talk about Cartesian dualism. You got to talk to that other person in there, and you got to be comfortable with that other person, and that's the way you're gonna bounce questions off of that other person in your head, and he's going to give you the answer. That's how you do mathematics. That's how when you do a test, people that say they're not good at tests, they they're not good. Their muddled thinking is blocking that. And the first thing I do when if someone asks me the sum of this and that, I do an internal monologue in my head with I am with that other person, and then I figure out the answer. If that thinking is muddled, then I can't do the answer.
True.
And that's what you got to get in touch with. Religion inhibits that process. They want slaves. They inhibit that process of talking to the person inside of you. And once you start, man, you can sit alone in a room with a book. If you can do that as a mgtow, you've arrived. I sit there, and the first thing I do in the morning is I have on my Audible, I have 50 some books, usually some kind of book like the Theory of Knowledge or something, and I turn that on, and then I start thinking about what these great authors. Yeah, I'm getting lectures. I got 40 lectures of some of the greatest minds in the world, and then I start doing that thought process and with myself. Is that true? Is this true? Should I be skeptical about this? Skepticism, and that's what mgtows do. We come to the point in our life where we're skeptical about everything. We have to clear the table and start putting truths back on it. It's deconstruction to reconstruction. We're reconstructing a better person.
True. And a lot of people, I came to the conclusion after being a couple of those little blue pill streams. At first, I kind of went in playing devil's advocate, but then I came to the conclusion of something because one of them got a little quiet after I told him this. He said if everybody was MGTOW, then the human species would be gone. I was like, well, not everybody's going to be MGTOW for one, and two, there's multiple ways, to have children. Once again, anybody could have kids.
Right.
These
Yes.
these people, they make me laugh sometimes, man, because they think the act of just doing that is going to make them whole. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
I
not.
told them there's always going to be idiots that have kids. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's nothing
You're
stopping
never
that.
going to be a mommy.
Yeah,
Being a mentor to a young person is a great thing, and I do that a lot. I'm a great, what they would say as a father figure. I'm a great mentor. I can teach young people how to do that, but that doesn't make me a father. And you can do 200 miles in a fake ID. You can adopt a child. You can as a MGTOW, the first thing you do if you want a child is surrogacy. It only costs $30,000, and you're single. You're making a good income. You should be able to afford surrogacy in 1 year. She
yeah,
signs. She signs off on that baby, and if you have a boy, boom, you've hit it. You can do your mentorship. You can raise that child as a single parent, and you don't have to raise them as a single parent. You have friends. We all have male friends. You can live with another male and raise a child and do that. And you know who? You know the story about Bertrand Russell and who is it? Bertrand Russell and they adopted a child, and that child was, after that kind of thinking, they put him through that kind of rigorous thinking. He was another great philosopher. I can't remember his name, but it was two great philosophers that did exactly the MGTOW thinking. They didn't influence it with a female. I don't know if it was Kierkegaard and Bertrand Russell. I'll have to look that one up. But the next great philosopher came from that kind of thinking. The MGTOW thinking, like you could have a surrogate child. You could pay a girl to do that. They love money.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways. I have 5 children. Three of them are from the traditional marriage, which provides me with a lot of hell, and over the years, and then 2 of them are from Joey hates when I say this, are from lesbians. That all they wanted was a good, good DNA. And I don't simp on that thing. I don't go over and try to see the children. I don't want to know them. They don't want to know me. I'm sure they're in a good family where they're being raised properly. There was never a doubt that these 2 people were going to raise this kid improperly. But when in a conservative marriage, there was always a doubt whether she was going to take off, start doing crack, start bringing chads in her life, and that did happen. So it tells me I have a measuring stick here about on-traditional relationships where you can have children, and they usually work out better.
True.
There's no problem with MGTOWs having children, and them children turning out absolutely healthy mentally and physically. I think it works better, matter of fact, the MGTOW way.
Me too. I mean, I agree. I don't have kids, but I am like the godfather of 3 because my friends they made me promise if anything ever happened to them, like freaking like watch after them, make sure they don't join a gang or do something crazy or something along the lines of that. And I said fine, and one of them I was able to teach how to fish, and he tell me like, why are you teaching me all this? And I told him about MGTOW and whatnot. He watches my channel, and he told me, if you feel that way, why are you bothering to teach me all this stuff? Like, what if I go off? And I told him before he could even finish his sentence, even if you one day decide to go off in the blue pill world, would it be disappointing to me? Yeah, kinda. But at the very least, you need to know that you had a fucking choice. You have a choice, and a lot of boys aren't taught that we have a choice.
Right.
Even if that's the life you want to live, you want the little white picket fence or whatever, you can do all that, but just don't come crying to me later, going, "Oh, nobody ever taught me, nobody ever told me." No, I told you.
Coming.
Yeah, that's what we need to be taught as men. There's no one way to do, everything. There's multiple ways to do different things.
Yeah, when we do the risk management, we tell all the boys, and it's like there's an 86% chance if you're from 20 years old, you get married from 20 to 35, there's an 86% chance you're going to experience divorce. That's not, we don't make that up. That's analytical thinking. That's a truth.
Okay.
I mean, 86% is man. It's the bucket of mushrooms. If there was 86% good mushrooms, or 86% bad mushrooms, and then so many good mushrooms, and then you got to filter in people that are never going to get married in it. So if there was like a 14% chance of you surviving that and reaching down into that bucket of mushrooms and eating one, would you do it?
Yeah, they get mad when you tell them the truth about it. I mean, I said this. My description was way more messed up, but I said this on the stream, and everyone got butthurt. I told them, yeah, that's great. Let me go get a bucket full of snakes, get naked, put my dick down in there. Okay, did one of them bite me? No, not yet. Okay, one got me. Now I just got to figure out, is it poisonous? Give it a couple hours.
Yeah,
is this the one?
Yes, this one is good. Yeah, it's the minefield. Marriage is a minefield. You got to make it over. You might be one of those guys that make it over the minefield. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. That's inductive thinking. I'm not going to say there's no possibility that you're not going to make it over through 50 years of marriage. And I'll say 40 years of marriage is a success. you might be one of those 12%. And you got to remember 4% are going to die too, and that's a type of divorce. Uh, so from that 12% that goes down to 8%, people actually make it through that. That's a pretty condensed minefield. So that's not good odds. And if you become a mgtow, you have a surrogate child, there's 100% chance that you're going to be fulfilled in life and make it through that. Which one do you choose?
Exactly.
It's easy. There's other ways to do it. There's a lot of different ways to think about if we do want to have children. There's a lot of different ways to think about it. There's a lot of different ways to think about your life, and we want to introduce all those possibilities to people's lives. You could be happy for the rest of your life, and that's where the gold is. And I wish somebody would have told me about that, like when I was younger. And I was always sort of like this guy that I never wanted to get married. I never wanted to have children because I seen the horrors of war around me. I was like, man, that would be the stupidest thing I could ever do is bring a child into this world that's just. Oh. And then I went and did it after I, got addicted to the pee.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wish there was a course for men, a biology course for men that tells you exactly what happens when you're going through the things. And those courses in school, the health courses, they're so insufficient, are they? They don't tell the boys about the chemical addiction that happens. They don't tell the boys about the bacteria that you're ingesting or the estrogen, or you're going to lose your IQ. They don't tell them about what your body's going to look like after you saturate yourself in estrogen for 5 years.
Yeah, that's true. They don't tell you these things.
They don't tell you, man. The biggest thing, put that in your mouth. Some of these guys put that in their mouth. That's like taking, what the exact chemical dosage for people that are transitioning to the other sex is 5 milligrams of estrogen. Every time you put that in your mouth, you're taking 5 milligrams of estrogen.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. And guys do that. It's like your skin is the biggest organ in your body, and you're saturating that every night with estrogen. You're taking that in, and they wonder why they look like they do, why they act like they do, why they're effeminate like they are. Every time I talk to a married guy and he's got that slightly hint, I say it easily to him. I say, I see a man, but I hear a woman. Because
Yeah, it's they don't realize they're doing this. They think it's masculine because I'm planning on doing a whole bit on this when I get a chance to. Their masculinity was given to them by a woman because they received validity from them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Barbarossa says that perfectly. We get filtered through the female filter.
yeah, it's pretty sad. I mean, it used to be a time when masculinity was carved out. It was something that we, discovered for ourselves. Nobody ever really gave us that, and it's sad that things have become so convoluted to where men believe that by attacking you or attacking another man is going to make them more masculine, or by being beholden to a woman is going to make them more masculine. Like you see what I mean? It's like chasing a carrot or something. It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing and it's cringy. The PUAs do that the best, don't they? They delude themselves. They always talk about masculinity, and then they're like, I'm going to go out and hit some of that and get some of that tonight. And we're going to do that every night of my life. And it's like, that is so. And then they do it by dressing up like the women, using makeup. What do they call them? The metrosexuality of that. They become what the woman wants them to become. And then they filter themselves through that female filter, and they think that's masculinity. Why they have no clue what masculinity is. They've lost it because they estrogenated their system.
Yeah, and it's really sad, man. I mean, even Like you may find this funny. My haters always prove everything that I'm talking about. Like, oh, we don't like
Yeah,
Black Wolf. He makes jokes that we don't like. He
that,
does
that,
this. He
that,
does that.
yeah.
And I had to point out to someone that they were sounding like a woman. I'm like,
They
if
sounded like a woman. Uh,
you're nagging me for personality traits that I will always have like a woman, and they get mad and tell me, no, well, you're repulsive. I'm like,
No,
yeah, to you,
to you.
maybe women.
When a man looks at me, he's not supposed to see anything but a disgusting, fucking smelly male. That's all they're supposed to see. And I could tell when men start thinking about other men as beauty objects. It's like, man, you've been estrogenated. You see it all the time in the gyms. You see it all the time and it's disgusting. These guys, man, their minds aren't on right because they are under the influence of the drug. I know how hard it is when they start simping like that because they're under the influence of a drug, which makes things. Well, one of the things that I always thought was hypocritical is like when the MRAs talk about the feminists complain about getting a woman drunk in a bar and then she has remorse sex and that's rape. But what does a woman do to us? She puts chemicals in our body that makes us 10 times more powerful than heroin, and then she steals our sperm, essentially raping us, and we don't see that. Or they don't see the hypocrisy in that.
This is why I know I shouldn't be laughing at the Simps because they emasculate themselves, but the
Yeah,
sad part is they don't even see it. I was on this stream where I had men and women going at me saying, "Oh, he must be rejected a lot. He must be
yeah,
gay. He must be this,
yeah.
all this stuff." And then finally, I told the guy cussing me out, "You know, you can call me anything you want, and I'll thank you for it." And he said, "Why?" I was like, "Because I'd rather you call me an ugly MF before you start calling me pretty."
Until you start calling me pretty. That's one of the reasons I put myself up when I show myself. Uh, you know, the beard is the secondary sexual characteristic of a male. There is nothing effeminate about me, and I'm walking, talking proof that mgtow works. And I don't care if you think I'm ugly. These guys come around all the time. I can tell the trad guys come around and they're like, "Oh, Santa Claus there," and you start using those kind of insults. And it's like, yeah, you're supposed to think I'm ugly because I'm a man.
And I bet they get real quiet when you remind them of that too. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
like
it's
I
like if
don't.
you thought I was pretty, then that would be kind of homosexual, wouldn't it? And that's why I
They-
do the. You notice I go, God, am I pretty? I do that thing because it's funny to me.
it is. I mean, it's
Fucking hilarious
hilarious.
when I do that. Most of the guys don't even see it. It's like he's making a sarcastic joke about beauty, about other men that see other men as beautiful. And
Uh,
them are traditional men. They're always looking at each other, and that's why I got so mad that one day about Bearings and TFM when I was on that podcast that I still get chastised for because they wanted to talk about that. They wanted to talk about beauty and pretty and stuff like that and about in a feminine way. And I'm thinking, I'm a monk. I don't talk about those things. What I do, I keep those things internalized to myself. It's none of nobody's business.
you
You
want to know
know?
why? You want to know why people do that? I went to there's this I forgot his name, but I went to this dating coach's stream. You know, Nate something, and a
Yeah.
lot of people wanted to talk. Yeah, it's Nate. Everybody wanted to talk to me about like my life and my personal. I didn't mind sharing it because I didn't really care. That they wanted an origin story. I
They
gave them an
want
origin
yeah.
story, and they couldn't handle it. They couldn't refute it. They couldn't handle it. And what made this even funnier was the women that were there, especially the women that were there, were trying to use that as an example. Where
Mhm.
oh, that's why he's MGTOW. I'm like, yeah, I became just super MGTOW the moment one relationship went bad. I mean, I just I just laugh at them about that whole thing. It's like they'll use like women. There are many people that will try to use your background. It could be something that happened 10, 15, 20 years ago, man. They try to make it something that you're not even thinking about relevant now.
No,
They
yeah.
can't live in the present. And
Well,
that's
they're
why
looking at fallacy.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to straw man something that no one even cares about. And this is why I came up with the thing. There are people that live in the past,
Yeah,
spend very little time in the present, and the thought of a future is non-existent.
non-existent. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that book by one of the first books in my mgtow experience was going through the hardest time in my life was mgtow about the power of now, living in now. And he talks about like cutting those strings of those people that were damaging me, and he talks about living in this moment right now, not in the future, not in the past. You can't do nothing about the past. People that bring that up are living in this temporal fallacy, or the future is another temporal fallacy. And that's the searching for that. We draw up fantasy fictions of finalized fiction. Adler talks about finalized fictions, about we draw up these thoughts about the perfect woman in our mind, and in the future, that's going to happen. That's a temple fallacy. The house, the suburban house with the picket fence. We dream about that. Tolstoy talks about that house. From looking at that house from the street is different than being in that house. It's a horror in that house. I mean, it looks all pretty from the street. It's like Hansel and Gretel looking at the candy, the house made out of candy. Of course, it's attractive, and that's what the traditional living is. That fairy tale land that they live in, that's an attractive fallacy that draws you in. And then once you get in that, did you fix it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, that's all that fantasy fiction land that they live in.
And that's why you have to let some people live the fantasy. I mean, I went on that dude's stream like multiple times, and me and him are cool and whatnot. Maybe a few friends here and there, and once they figured out, I'm not hating them for their choice. I'm just saying they have options. That's the only thing I was saying. That alone caused a storm in a teacup. And at that point, I just said, "Wow, let me just gracefully bow out," because I mean, to
Yeah,
get a knee-jerk reaction.
yeah, we talk about that all the time, me and Joey, about enabling this thing. I don't enable that thing.
I mean,
What's that? Okay. Workman. Yeah, we don't enable that. We're because we're not. We don't take the dependence out because we're not codependent. We don't enable those things, and that's perfect logical sense. How we're not enablers of it. We don't do the codependency, and they do the codependency a lot because a female is a dependent.
Yep.
And that makes
That's what
total
we say.
sense.
The best word is no. That's the best word in English dictionary, probably.
That's the amalgamation of all mgtow is the word no. No, I don't do those things no more. I don't talk about those things. I don't. I don't think about them. I live my life like if people could see the joy. I mean, me riding around on my bike, just smiling and waving at everybody. I'm a perfect fucking communal person. I mean, MGTOW has gave me the ability to coexist perfectly with the nature. I live in a small community, so I get the parks, and I go down to the river, and I commune with those things too. Natural. I commune with the terrestrial world that I live in. And yeah, well, maybe we should talk about that someday, about communing in the terrestrial world that we live in, not with other people.
There are people that there are people out there try to live vicariously through other people, and the hell they don't even realize it.
Yeah.
It's really sad. This is why I learned that not everybody can freaking be MGTOW, and that's why
Right.
I told the blue pillars, just treat us like Shaolin monks. We're not up in their stuff trying to mess with their stuff, but they shouldn't be trying to get up in here and mess with our message either.
Right. That's the entryism that we have to put up. Is it one of the biggest problems in MGTOW is we don't confront the entryism in a harsh way like we should.
Yeah, because I mean, we don't have leaders. That's what makes it kind of like hard, and we shouldn't well, I'm not advocating we get them either. I remember that some dude when I was up in that stream called Luigi, the real Luigi MGTOW. He comes in with his swastika, talking about eradicating people.
Yeah.
And I went to his channel and like kind of dissed him. And then he only had 4 subscribers, got 2 of his videos like removed. Now he has a strike and everything. And then I was telling everyone it's shit like this that we need to be shunning. It ruins the message. And he's entry level. We really got to tell the entry level guys it's okay to go through your red pill rage, but don't bring that to MGTOW. We don't need that.
Yeah, that goes
I
all the
mean,
way back to the title of this, the mild case of MGTOW that we see around. They sort of get it, but there's always those political aspects. We see the Trumpists, we see the anarchists, we get the married guy that wants to pretend like he's MGTOW, and those entryists. I don't come around your church and try. The way I say this, if you're in the Catholic Church, I don't come around and start screaming about Judaism. And it's the same way, or Muslimism. I have the same respect for me. These people come around MGTOW and they start screaming all these political things that they want. The Nazis, the neo-Nazis, the Proud Boys. We had Proud Boy entryists at one point that just wanted us to be hate mongers and everything. That's not MGTOW. That's not MGTOW at all.
and that's why I think I believe the monks, such as us, have the best understanding of it.
Yeah.
Because we went through all the rage, we went through all the stuff, and now we just want to live our lives. I mean,
Be free.
be free. And when I was in that stream, all of you are probably gonna laugh about this, but that dude, or rather, he had a chick as a co-host. Both of them pulled up the Wikipedia definition of MGTOW when me and another MGTOW were there to explain to us.
Written by that one guy that used to have the "We Slay the Mammoth." That was that guy. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And he was such a simp. You know what happened to that guy? He got charged with child pedophilia. So when they read from that article, they're reading from a guy that was a pedophile.
I tried to tell them that we don't really use a level system, but they were hell bent on using it. And there was another MGTOW in there too. Some Albert dude. He was there, and we kind of got quiet for a minute, and I just let him take his first crack at it. I'm like, I'm gonna let you take
you want to
this.
do this, or should I?
Yes.
We get so accustomed to those kind of arguments that we kind of know the correct things to say. That's what I was so upset with that one guy that went on a TV program, and he had written a book. He's on Twitter a lot. I can't remember his name, and they started sexually harassing him on. They did "Don't You Date," and he was like, and then they went with "Do you have a girlfriend?" Which is they were asking him if he had, sexual copulation. They were sexually harassing him, and he didn't know the right answer for it. And the right answer is that's none of your business. And quit sexually harassing me. And he didn't know that, so he didn't have in MGTOW. Man, we've been here so long that we get attacked so much as we develop this defense system, which really pisses them off too, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it really pisses them off. I mean, when I was in one of their streams, I had a chick, I kid you not, in one of their streams. She tried to extort money from me on live air. She wasn't even the host or anything. She's like, pretend I'm a man, you demonetize the stream. And I asked her this simple question. Okay, would you say that you're the most affected by this? She said yes. And I said, okay, so you're the victim. She said yes. And I said, okay, so would you like to tell the rest of your subscribers that you spit in my face as well as theirs because you want money from me?
You want money.
So it's
Yeah.
just really hilarious. You want me to donate her money and whatnot, and
Right.
and
Well,
I understand.
That's the misogyny thing. It's as long as they can call you a misogynist, you end up doing apologetics. Then you're apologizing for some perceived thing that's your sin, is being a misogynist. But misogyny in itself, when somebody calls misogyny without truth to it, like they can call what they're doing is they're having an intuitional feeling that that someone's intuition is always your opinion. Your opinion about another gender is misandric. So they are what they say you are. It's the absurdity in it.
It's it's the obsession. I mean, they project. You know what they're saying about you is really how they feel.
How they
That's the
feel,
thing.
right? And they're being misandric when they do that. When anytime I see AOC the other day call one of the senators a misogynist without any proof, and I was thinking, well, you're so misandric. That's an opinion, and that's opinion about another gender, and that should get kicked off of mgtow. We would get kicked off of mgtow if we had those opinions.
Exactly. I mean that like everyone else gets away with it, and it's so funny. They tried to derail stuff, and when I was in that stream, everyone got mad, man. Because you know me, when normally people start falsely accusing me of stuff, I start agreeing with it. One guy said, "Oh, he's probably a homo." I said, "Well, I don't think I am, but
Well,
bend
that's
over, we'll figure
projection
that out."
too, because they're estrogenated.
And when they do that, just start telling them to bend over. They'll get real pissed off when you do that. Just start agreeing with them, because I told them I'm far beyond caring about race, sexuality, any of this shit. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously I'm hetero, but if people want to keep making up lies about me, then hey, embrace the hate.
Yeah, this is what this is all about. Let me show this. Put up my brand. This one here, Group X. That's up there. Do you know what Group X is?
Gen X or
No, Group X is people like us that just don't think about sex anymore. We just don't do that thing anymore. We don't care what people think about that. But you know what the most discriminated group in the world is? Group X.
Group X.
Group X is everybody else is out there running around thinking about sex 24/7. Group X is, we don't do them things. We don't think about those things. It's not something that preoccupies my mind for 24/7. You know, and there's a good article that I can link guys to about Group X. When you're a MGTOW, you're a part of Group X, and you can consider yourself as, if you're not telling them about what you're doing with that, which is very homosexual, they will consider you an enemy. And
oh yeah,
it's a form of discrimination against people that are normal. Normal people like me and you and Joey, we can work on a car without thinking about a girl. We can work on a project without thinking about a girl. And it doesn't clutter our minds. How many times have you been working on a car with a guy that was talking about his girl and never finished a job?
Oh yeah, many times.
Many times. It clutters our mind and everything. It's so unnatural in this world, but they think it's a natural thing. The natural the default disposition of every male is Group X. When he's not thinking about that, he's not thinking about that. He's getting things done. The Irish have if you're involved with a woman, then you're not making hay. If you're not out there making hay, you're going to starve to death in the winter.
Yep. And you know, it's pretty crazy. Also, when I was in that stream, they kept trying to tell me, "Oh, you don't feel a desire, you don't feel this, and I'm thinking, it made me feel kind of sad for them, because they were making it seem like sex was as important as food and water.
Yeah. Oh, they make that. That's Maslow said where they put sex on the hierarchy of life, where if you don't, and they say that if you stop doing that, you're going to die. We used to make fun of that. Remember with me and SFM, you're going to die.
Oh yeah.
And that's what we were talking about. These guys actually think if they put all that stuff away, that they're going to die.
Well, I'll say right now, marbled red meat in rare form is more important than sex. I'll say that, like,
Yeah,
100%.
right. I was going to bring up SFM before. He had another saying about something you had brought up, and I can't remember it now. And I miss my buddy SFM coming around. He had a certain sense.
Yeah, a lot of good ones. Bitch brain, having a bitch brain, you know, it's true. You start thinking like a woman. That's what they do.
That's what they do. They start thinking like women. And that's what I say. I see a man, but I hear a woman.
You know, it's pretty funny. I mean, like I tried to. I realized I was subconsciously almost trying to help these guys. I hate using the term "man up," but one guy got mad when we were in stream, and I had to explain to him just because I was dissing you doesn't mean I was disrespecting you. Because this 23-year-old woman comes in and to the stream, and I think this guy may have been older than me. He says, I kid you not. He says, "Oh yeah, I'm an ugly dude, but well, you're so beautiful. Your lips look real nice, and I just wanted to make her feel nice." And I'm laughing and going, "Oh my god!" He's like, "What's so funny?" And I said, "The simping. I mean, me and two other people talked to this chick, and you didn't see us flirting with her." He says, "That's just my style." And I say, "Okay, so your style is being a simp."
Simp.
And then he told me, he told me, he's like, he's like, "This is why you don't get no women or whatever." And I said, "Well, I'm not trying to get with her." I'm like, "She's not gonna fuck you." And my back of my mind is weird that I have to keep telling people that, but in my mind, I stopped myself because he straight up told me, he's like, "Well, I don't need your approval to talk to women in a certain way." And I said, "Well, in that case, I apologize. I had not kissed your ass correctly because now it's a problem between me and you."
Right, and that perfectly explains the white knighting and IUD male that goes off when his masculinity, because he attaches his masculinity to that thing he does, and simping. He attaches, which is actually very effeminate, uh, and he goes off about that, and he expects the world to apologize to him about his bad behavior. It's like,
Yeah,
come.
it is.
And that's a guy that never took a serious introspection in his life. And we do introspections around here for a reason, so we can get in touch with what I am. And when I was a simp, I was a simp, and then I identified that bad behavior.
And it's a kicker, man, because like it's like looking back on a bridge on something and you see you can't show to them what
Yeah,
you've experienced or what you've seen. So it's kind of like watching a bunch of people walk off a cliff, so to speak. Some might survive and hit the ground and be okay. Others might take off and fly and whatnot. The possibilities are endless and
yeah,
whatnot. But just to look over there and go, I used to be one
nice.
of one of those guys,
Yeah,
and to see how far I've come, it makes me sad that some
you
people
can't.
just can't be saved, and I have to come to
Yeah,
terms with that. That some people are going to perpetually do that which is negative for their life.
I think one of the growing processes in MGTOW, we hear it like we're saving men, like from, and we think we're going to save those men. And in my real life, I do transitional housing here, so I see those men come through, and I automatically try to save them from that baby mama hell that they're going to put themselves through, and I can't. I can't impart that what I've seen to them, and it becomes an almost. It's one of the things that drives us MGTOWs crazy, that we can't impart that to them, and we become very linguistically defined in how we say things, and very good at this, but still it's what I call the conservative balk. When they hear the right thing, they conservatively balk back to what they thought before. It's well, if you look up, it's another fallacy. It's a rhetorics, people with closed minds, and it tells a lot about the personality, about not being open-minded, not being having any consciousness, or being able to look at things, you know, very rationally. These people will balk. They will, as soon as they're confronted with an unfriendly truth, and we are saying some unfriendly truths, they balk back to that conservatism.
Yeah, and that was what I learned. I mean, it was pretty messed up because me and another MGTOW were in that stream, and we spent over 2 hours explaining it to them, and then still they, like,
Yeah,
a bunch of people were saying, "Oh, they're not giving direct answers." We were given very direct answers. The thing
right.
about it is they couldn't handle those
They
answers. I
couldn't handle
I
the.
gave them I gave them every scenario. I went from joking to giving them extremely serious scenarios to the point where I became so burnt out with it. And what
Yeah,
really kind of got me near the end of that particular stream, and this is going to stay with me for a while, I jokingly called someone a MGTOW, like one of the guys I was talking to, and immediately got a knee-jerk reaction because it was taken as a diss. And I said, why did that upset
Why
you
would
and
that?
them? And they said, oh, because it's a weakness. And I said, what's so weak about me and mgtow? Because it's nihilistic. It's not. I mean, I said, okay, so, and in my mind, I stopped in there because I realized when you have a fixated opinion about someone after hearing them for 2 hours and your opinion still remains, you then you've made the active choice to listen without understanding. And
Right.
so
Without,
now,
yeah, you go back to what you thought before because it's convenient, and
and that's the thing. I mean, knowledge without understanding is pointless. So it was pointless for
right,
me to continue talking.
right, yeah. There's a good book that I always kind of put a book in there. It's called The Theory of Reality. It's a book on postmodernism and how to think. And it's a book more about the philosophy of science, how scientists think, and how you have there's a philosophy in science anymore. And it's by Peter Godfrey Smith, and he talks about these kind of people. He does a whole chapter about feminism and these kind of people and how you can't get through to them. I'll put it up in the chat, and it's on audiobook, and it's a really good listen. It'll take you through how to understand postmodernism and the science of philosophy, and give you all the new terminology, which has changed already in a matter of about 3 years. The terminology is all changed, so we have to get used to a new terminology. And there's another book that I would say is is good for understanding the new terminology in that. And I'll put that up too. It's a book that I've just recently discovered, and it's I put it up at the beginning of the thing. It's called The Theories of Knowledge and How to Think What You Know, how to think about what you know. And we in mgtow we believe in reading, and learning. Learning is one of the most important things you can have in mgtow, or do in mgtow. And as a stoic male, one of the things that you learn from your experience, and what you find freedom in, is learning. You become a better person. And I always believe in giving a couple books out. But these people are what they're doing when they do that is they're refusing. They're not being open-minded. It tells a lot about their personality traits. And me and Joey wanted to talk about this at one point. Their personality, good personality traits are open-mindedness, conscientiousness, uh, and honesty. Honesty, I'll argue with, but then you get into the things that in personalities, which I see a lot in tradcons, is neuroticism. They're always pacing the floor. They have muddled thinking. They're neurotic about things. They show these traits of neuroticism, and that's one of the traits that the inability to be open-minded and talk about new ideas such as mgtow. They just balk on. They won't go into that area because they're so neurotic.
and it's really crazy because they act like we're the closed-minded one. I know far more open-minded
Yeah,
mgtow than I do blue pillars. And when I went to that stream playing devil's advocate a little bit, there was a reason why I did that. I had a friend and a subscriber of me asked me, he's like, "Why'd you even go there? You knew that they were going to attack you. You
I
knew there was kind of a trap."
know.
I told him I went there to challenge their resolve, as well as see where I stand in the grand scheme of things. I went there with the mentality, okay, I'm mgtow, change my mind. That's kind of how I went in there. I was very open minded. I listened to the things they had to say. I went, okay, he has a point there. I
Yeah,
wanted to see test their resolve, and then at the end of that stream, I came to the conclusion that for some people, it's either about the money or trying to give off an image as it
yeah,
is to actually helping people. I mean, maybe the guy really thinks he's helping people. Who knows? I can't confirm that, but having the females all up in there, they're definitely not for that.
no,
And you can't have women, like you can't have like women or a bunch of women in a stream when you're trying to talk about a male issue. And I'll take this to my grave. I've said this to everybody. I don't care how nice that woman is. When you have a panel full of men and you're talking about men's issues, they terraform it. Women can tend to only be able to relate to things that affect them on a physical or emotional level. So they're not going to get that thing that you think they have. They don't have that. I told them
Right.
that.
We've seen this in the MRA, the early portions of the late 2000s, early 2000s. The MRA was terraformed by the honey badgers and the woolly bumblebee and the women. They let the women in, and all they started talking about was things that could be easily transferred to women's issues.
Yep. As
And
to
it,
oh, I'm sorry, you first. My
and
bad.
then
I
they
mean,
stole all the money,
oh
which
yeah,
was going to happen. And then now we have this MRA that is broke, discontent. They're still doing that simping. They're stuck back in the early 2000s in their thinking, and and it's trashed because they did the same exact things we always say we're never going to do here. Is we're never going to let the women terraform mgtow because it will become more of we get filtered through their sieve.
and a lot of guys don't realize that. I mean, if that host just did a thing with just a panel of men, like it could definitely it would definitely improve his content.
Right.
But the thing is, a lot of people are so tethered to air quote community, air quote women, and
Yeah.
that to the point where women, like with the MRA, women can only see things through their own filter, and eventually every man's problem, it won't even be about men's problems anymore. It'll be
It'll
about
be,
how it affects women.
yeah.
And I tell people this all the time. If you ever want to get women to collectively do something, don't tell them how it affects men or children. Just tell them how it affects them. Well, if Bob breaks his leg, he won't be able to make money anymore. You gotta go over there and nurse that leg.
Yeah, that's conscious by concern. I talk about that all the time, and we see that with the MRAs that are still raging, and they're like, women have no honor. No, they never did have no honor. They have conscience by concern. That's it. And whatever concerns them, whatever becomes the most important thing, and that's money, it's food, it's resources. It's interspecific mimicry. We talked about that with sexual crypsis. It's interspecific mimicry to gain resources from the community. That's what they think about. That's their biology.
Exactly, and it was funny. Just the other day, man, my friend was telling me about his new girlfriend, how happy he is. He's like, "Oh, she gets all my jokes, and oh, I
Uh,
love her so much." I told him this. He got real pissed off and walked away when I told him this. "Oh, that's great. When she's laughing, does she laugh like before you, or does she just laugh when you laugh?" And
yeah,
he thought about it and told me to go screw myself.
hear yourself. Yeah,
Like
she
this.
mimics what he does. That's one part. That was what was the girl in Fight Club? She was
I
Darla.
know yeah, I know
Marla.
you're talking.
Marla was the good example of interspecific mimicry. She goes to the groups to gain resources from the groups. She was mimicking what he was doing, and that's what they do. They interspecific mimicry or human mimicry is just she goes to the groups to gain the resources, whether it's physical or metaphysical, from the group. Which she had no part of the group. She was just mimicking the group. That's what women do in those situations. When she laughs when you laugh, is because she's mimicking because she has a goal, and that's conscious by concern.
And a lot of that is freaking biology too. When you think about it,
Yeah,
when every woman, and I told him this as well after he came back, stopped being all mad at me. I told him every woman that you'll ever meet, include be they really good or we'll use the air quote successful women. I told him women like his mom, women like everything else, they learned how to be that way most likely through a man, and so they mimicked a man in order to get where they are in life.
yeah.
Women don't get anywhere mimicking other women. They just don't.
It just goes up the biology. It's one of the first things that MGTOW should know is sexual crypsis. Is that's it? That's what they do. It's like they want resources from they hide their fertility for one reason. So all the men think that they're the father. essentially gaining resources from all the men.
It's gonna come down to that shit eventually. I mean, let society get bad enough. There's gonna be a guy walking around. I have many wives. How do you have many wives, sir? The woman that works at Stater Brothers, the female
Could be
banker.
mine. That could be mine. That could be mine. I don't have a problem with that kind of society because at least it's truthful, and
Yeah,
we cut through all the petty jealousies and everything. That you're just loaning her for a period of time, and you may be the father, you may not be the father, but she's doing what she does, and as long as you understand what she does, you can put yourself in a safe position.
that's true.
But when we're lied to about from religion, when we're lied to from our even our Congress and our laws are based on some old religion of honor that Kant came up with that is so outdated, and that's what the modernism and the understanding how postmodernism works. And I really hate people that argue with postmodernism because we're supposed to be over that stuff. This society, the only cure for this society is to go totally back natural, and that's get rid of marriage, get rid of these religious preconceptions, get rid of the divorce courts, get rid of health and human services and put that in the library where a person can walk in, a person I say, and I'll be very general and specific on this, can walk in, put how much he makes, his social security number in there in the computer, and they'll tell you if you deserve more in the society. But we have to get rid of these other systems that are clogging it up, that are based on religious systems, that of some honor duty thing that comes from Kant in 1700s.
True.
And there's a system. I mean, it works itself up. That's what's so important to know what Kant said, know what Kierkegaard said, know what Descartes said, then know how Camus came up with answers to that, and then know how Diderot and Rawls and Just World and how we progressed, and where we should be at now is where we do get rid of these systems of marriage because it's ridiculous and it's so absurd. And we do get rid of these divorce courts because it's the biggest problem in our society. If you think war is a big problem in our society and all that stuff that you see on the Google machine in the news every morning, that's not the biggest. The biggest problem is the hidden problem of gender dynamics right now.
Yeah, because they really morphed a lot of stuff. I mean, I thought about changing my name a long time ago because when I made this name, I wasn't really even giving it much thought. But that mgtow portion of my name tends to mess people up, and
Yeah.
I love keeping it because it gets a knee-jerk reaction, and air quotes triggers people, and then they just make a series of assumptions. And I like it because they show me the real them, and I don't have to kind of weed weed through them because they're already coming at me in the way that they were going to come at me anyway. So,
Now, I keep my old ones. I have Traversable MGTOW, and he's still got 770 some viewers and over there and everything. But I don't do Traversable MGTOW. I do Traversable Philosophy now because it shows my growth over the years.
true. I mean, I'm thinking about changing again to something else, like maybe Cosmic Wolf or something, because I'd like to at least get like a foot in edgewise with some of these entry level guys. And
Yeah, it gives me when I come on and I go into and I do it. I used to do it a whole lot, like you do, just kind of pop up into a trad cuck conversation. But them things never bear any fruit. And it's true in philosophy. I can't remember who said it. Oh, it was Foucault. Foucault said philosophy bears no fruit. When I
true.
go into these things, the last thing I ended up is my fatherhood principles. There's no such thing as fatherhood. And MGTOW Dictionary, the new guy, was around, and he just went fucking nuts when I said that. He was showing his traditional conservative ass to me, and he didn't expect me to take a bite out of it.
Yeah, it's those kind of guys that need to at least be called out and dealt with. But I see what you mean. I mean, you grew and you changed and everything, and I mean, you're older than me, and I respect all of that. I mean, for me, my growth is I'm still in the process of my growth. I mean,
Well,
I
you
do a lot of
understand very well.
Oh, thanks, man. I do what I can. I mean, to make people laugh. I like to make people laugh and inform at the
Yeah,
same time, and that's my whole bit. And I try. I'm growing too, and I'm kind of just getting settled in my ways and whatnot. It's just hopefully someday I'll be where you're at and everything. That's the
it's good that you use sarcasm and negation, and we talked about this a year ago. I think I made Camus' negation tells you that you're understanding things properly. There's a negation in life that highlights the absurdity of what these people are doing. So you use sarcasm, you use irony, and those things. Retarded people can't understand sarcasm or irony, and then you can define who you're talking to at that point too. Am I talking to someone that has that's not connected with their inner brain? And it's like it's useless. Then you say like trying to talk to that kind of person is useless. Then you're not going to get through.
that's true. I mean, that's why I like the way that I've made my content because it's a bit of a mass to where all my videos are somewhat linked to one another, which
Yeah,
means people have to watch a lot of them to kind of get it. They want me to just give them this direct answer. They'll say, "Oh, Black Wolf's so vague. He's so this. Why does he use comedy?" And one day I outright told someone, "Sometimes you have to be the sad clown to get your point across."
right. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of ways. Life's not analytic. There's no way to go through life with deductive reasoning. And be life is so inductive. It's like how we figure things out as we go. I give a good story about this. Like I live with two guys, John and Jim, eat breakfast in the morning, and when I go into the like when I approach that, and Jim is just sitting there, I know John's out of the house, and that's how I have to. I don't know for sure about these things, but if there's two bowls in the dishwasher, then I know both of them were there, and they eat breakfast like they always do. If there's one bowl, then I know one of them's out of the house. And that's the inductive reasoning. I have to reason through these things, and I don't know for sure. And there might be like one of them's sick in bed. I don't know these things for sure, but that's more like life. I have to go through life doing inductive reasoning every step of the way and try to uh, do coherent thought where I figure these things out as I go. It was like what I said. Something red flashed by my window. Was it a cardinal? I don't know if it was a cardinal. I can assume it was a cardinal. And that's life. I don't know for sure 100% about everything. I can't know for sure 100% about most things in life. We weren't endowed with that kind of brains.
That's true. I get
And
what you mean.
yeah, I know from the negative things that happen to me in life, like not to touch that fire no more. I know that we learn from negation. We don't. I did a video on there was nothing ever learned from a sunny day on the beach. Nothing happened where I learned something about sun. I just had a good day. Humans are funny. We only learn from things that hurt us.
That's true.
But in mgtow, we can describe those things. We can describe what had happened to us and the horrors of being a baby daddy, being a slave, and those things. But we can't until they actually touch the flame. They don't know what it feels like. They can't. That's why they don't get it.
Exactly. I mean, that's one of the reasons I use dark. I like to use dark humor just for the simple fact that even if they can't experience that pain or just refuse to, the dark humor is used to show them that irony. And even if they
Irony.
disagree, most people leave thinking they think about it. They
They
laugh.
will think about it. Yeah.
They laugh and then they think about it because I realize it's a lot easier to talk to someone once their no guard is dropped and they're laughing and whatnot. And even if they disagree with you later, they'll leave and be in their bed or something, going
Yeah.
that guy, he was making all these jokes, but he might have had a good point too.
Yeah. That's in the bottom of this video. You see, you can't unsee mgtow once you see it. You can't.
True.
It's a truth that becomes a truth, and then you can't unsee that. You can pretend like you're not seeing it. You can choose to balk and and think what you were thinking before, but you can never unsee it. You're always going to have that red pill in your head now. That's going to cause cognitive dissonance when you do these thoughts. And
True.
that's going to be a horrible place to live until you work through that and go, okay, yes, these mgtows are right. They've done the research. There was nothing in the early days of MGTOW back in 2000 to 2004 and everything. We did nothing but research just to figure out, and we asked ourselves these questions back then. Critical thinking. The only way to get to the truth is to be critical of what your thought is. That means we had to argue these things out, and then if the truth appears after that, and it withstands all that critical thinking, then it is the truth.
Exactly.
So when you argue with those people, be proud that if your reasoning stood up to their absurdity, that your reasoning is still the truth, and they can't unsee that.
That's true. That's why I always like the thing that I was laughing about is one of those guys got mad, referred to me as a clown, and I told him no, I prefer myself as the court jester. He said, "What the hell does that mean?" I said, "Have you ever watched Hunchback of Notre Dame?" He's like, "Yeah." That's the role. That's pretty much the active role I take in the Kingdom of MGTOW. I'll tell the story. I'll lay the pieces out before you, and it's your decision to decide what you want to do. But I told him by the same token, if the court jester is calling you an idiot, you really got to think about that. Why would why would the court jester refer to you as an idiot unless it was true?
Unless it was true. Yeah, there's a certain truth in these things. Yeah, the position we have to take sometimes, and it's sad that we do have to take those positions sometimes with people, instead of just saying it right out loud and say, "There's no such thing as God. There's no such thing as fatherhood. There's no such thing as a woman that's going to stay around you monogamous for the rest of your life." They're programmed. We should be able to say things like that, and it just be accepted as a truth because we filtered through these things already, and we have millions and millions of analogies and we've been doing this so long. There's been millions of MGTOWs that done videos that say this is the truth, but still they won't because, well, they want to live in that fantasy fiction world.
And this is why I make the joke. Like this is why I make jokes because there's some people, as the old saying goes, if you give somebody a bad thing and a good thing, regardless of the long-term consequences, the average person wants to rather believe in the happier thing, even if they know it's BS.
Right. They want to believe in the happy thoughts. That's what I call the unfriendly truth. The truth is sometimes unfriendly to your thoughts. And you're not going to like it, but it's still the truth.
Yeah, this is why they attack, emotionally. I've had people come at me in a very feminine way. I mean, it's like if I wake up and I say, "Hey, the sky is blue." No, it's not blue, you misogynist. It's actually kind of teal. And if you didn't trip on that rock 15 years ago, you would know that. I'm like, yep, that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah. Well, they're overly effective, aren't they? They display their emotions, and then they'll call us the ones that are triggery as they're being overly effective. And that goes back to personalities too. People with that generally hold honor or honesty as a morality. Honesty works out as a morality, but it doesn't work out as a personality trait because honor or honesty requires group. It requires groupthink. It requires loyalty to the group, and that's what they think honesty is. It requires and morality requires loyalty to their group. And then when you veer from those ideas, they have these effective emotions that are displayed all over the place. And then, like we say, they become that thing that they hate, and then they project all over the place because they're just having these triggery emotions like little girls.
Exactly. And it's actually kind of funny because I've gone at it with people like that and challenged them. And the one time I went at a couple of them in an emotional way to show them how they were acting. And then
Yeah,
at the end of all of that, after they got quiet and I got done like having my fake emotional like rant towards them, I'm like, yeah, but it's in the past, so fuck it. And they got mad after I said that. They go, you seemed so mad 5 minutes ago. I'm like, yeah. And then I got over
Yeah.
it.
No, we're totally under control. It's one of the things that we learn at mgtow to become totally we become totally control on our lives, and that means our personalities, the way we feel, the way we think, the rationality of the things we do is all under control.
That's
Man, that's a beautiful place to be.
it really is. I mean, and they don't teach boys this anymore. I mean, they're always saying that, oh, men always hide their emotions. No, we don't hide our emotions. We're just in better control of them. You know, our sadness, our anger, our happiness. We understand that
Understand that?
we dictate that. I mean, like, yeah, whatever
We're
happens to us,
angry.
we decide how we feel.
Yeah, we're
Ultimately.
angry. I hate that one because anger is a part of the 5 basic emotions of people. Anger is, man, when I'm disappointed in somebody, I'm angry. And it's not because I got angry. They disappointed me. When
Exactly.
we're disappointed in females and we're angry about that, not because it was born in a bubble, because we're disappointed. There's a reason why.
And
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 it,
a lot of people can't understand that women can get angry or sad or happy for no freaking reason. For us, normally, like I tried to explain causality to the people in that stream, and I immediately stopped because I knew they wouldn't understand it.
yeah,
I was going to explain causality because I could go on a whole bit about that, but instead I just decided to gracefully leave and joke it off. And to the people that know me and or watch my content, every joke that I've ever made, if you read between the lines, has is a truth bomb in itself. If you're
yeah.
willing to read between the lines, that's just me not directly, saying it.
I do a lot of those that off the field. I talk about it all the time. When you're talking about a subject, you got to stay on the field, and they go off the field causality, as in equivocation. It's like they equivocate two different things that are like apples and oranges all the time. And it's like, no, you're off the field on this. And then you try to tell them that they're off the field, but it makes sense to them because it quantifies their bad behavior, their bad thoughts.
They need it as a justification because some of them really do lack the critical skills. And this is also why I kind of like, I'm guilty of this. I admit, like, I'll nerf down what I'm saying in order to better express my point to Blue Pillars and a lot of those other people because,
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
yeah, I can talk philosophical. I'm happy. Like I can talk serious and philosophical with you and everyone else here. But offline or online, when I'm talking to these Blue Pillars, you really have to dumb it down for them, like a
I have to
lot.
come down. Yeah, I call that. I did a video on that. Is like I used to be a sports writer, and when you're talking to sports fans, you had to write in a 4th grade to 6th grade English, and I could never do that. And then when they didn't understand something, they blame you for not understanding that.
Yeah, it's insane. It's like a weird phenomenon. Like this, just well, maybe it's. I think it's called. There's a name for this. The Dunning-Kruger effect would
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah, they extend themselves to the mean. The
Yeah,
Dunning effect, yes, is they extend their intelligence to the mean. And when if you don't tell them in a 4th grade English, then they don't understand what you're saying. And that's Dunning Kruger is extending yourself to the mean. Like they think they're average, but they're not average. And
and that's how they set themselves up, like mentally for failure in a sense. Because one thing that I hate. Like one day I'll be making, if I'm making jokes and someone's doesn't get it, but they want to, or they're getting it and they're getting mad at me because I'm not like, trying to have that super, full like analytical kind of conversation with them. I'll engage them on that, but the only thing that's ever pissed me off is when I engage people on that and then they actively try to BS me by saying, "Oh yeah, but you're weird and you're that." That's when I'll get pissed off. Not at the insult, but mad that I actually like dropped character and took the time to try to talk to that person serious
right,
when they just want to BS me the whole time. And that's what I get irritated, and that's why I was trying to explain causality to these idiots. And I finally just said, you know what? Not my fight.
no,
I'm gonna gracefully bow out of this.
yeah, you can't. There's no cure for stupid, and a lot of these people are never gonna. They're never gonna actually accomplish reading a whole book in their lives.
It's
It's sad, and I don't hate these people. sometimes I come off as cocky, but I don't hate them, and I know I scare the shit out of them. Is why most people don't come in here. Is That's okay. I am what I am, and I shouldn't have to apologize. You shouldn't have to apologize for who you are.
Yeah, that's the thing they want. That's the popular thing now, bro. That the world wants you to apologize if you don't
Yeah,
conform to their way of thinking, even if
right.
that way of thinking is innately poisonous to you. I
Yeah,
mean, they it's kind of like the analogy I use for this is you see someone telling you, oh, you know, like, or rather, okay, you see a drowning man and you're walking eating an apple, and then they throw you a rope while they're in the water and say, hey, get in here, I'm trying to save you, grab the rope.
yeah,
And
crap.
you're just
That's
kind of looking at him like, good luck with that, buddy. I'm just fine. No, I gotta save you. Jump in this water, man. Take the rope. I'm good. I'm good. I'll let you
and that's the
do
thing about,
that.
like, drowning men. I mean, don't try to save. If,
Drowning a
yeah,
drowning man trying to save somebody on land.
yeah,
It's a weird phenomenon.
yeah, yeah. Where are we at? We're at like 3 hours now. Where are we at here? We got it. Okay. I think this is, yeah. We're gonna boil this thing down here.
All right.
I have
Well,
to check, see what my garage is like now, and
no, no
I,
worries, brother. No worries, brother. It's been a blast. I thank you for having me on.
yeah, thanks for coming on.
I always like listening to it, like especially when I'm driving or outside, tending to the garden. I mean, you know, you're one of my favorite MGTOW to listen to. I really appreciate, the content your words and your content. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, I try to make it interesting and have a topic. It was one of my rules: is we got to have a topic to talk about. Yell
True.
about the feminists and the girls and the way, because that's not important anymore. What's important is you and how you develop in your life, and the truths that will save you from having those bad days anymore.
Exactly. That's what
And,
it's about.
yeah, it's all good in MGTOW. All roads lead back to MGTOW. We can talk about ice cream at Dairy Queen, and it'll lead back to MGTOW.
Man, I've been struggling with my own streams. I don't know if I told you, but I got on SteamYard. I was so freaking lost. My own subs had to help me, and like they were saying, one of them was saying, "Damn, Blackwood, you're like, what do you like to like illiterate when it comes to technology?" I'm like, "Yeah, get in here and help me, damn, figure this out."
Yeah,
But
they throw a loop at us when they cut Hangouts, and they made it a little harder, and I had to go buy a subscription to this, and it's a nice product, so I don't mind owning it. But they'll do anything to shut us down. They don't want us talking about the truth. Uh,
oh yeah, that's why I had to make backups, MGTOW TV and all of that. I mean, if I get bopped off of YouTube, I don't know if I had the energy to try to start it all over again. I think I might just switch to the TV version and just start anew. Might even make the content more serious or something.
right,
Because
right,
I want to reach the more intelligent crowd like it is as well. I mean, my stuff was already kind of more or less entry level, but I'm like you. I'm always growing. I try to always be in a state of growing, because the one thing I notice about the average person is, or the person suffering from Dunning Kruger effect, they don't read. The one thing all of them have in common is they don't read. They're unwilling to entertain the fact that they may be wrong about an aspect, but then they'll hate everybody else and derail other people, and that's why I stay away from these people. I'm about to start staying away from everyone who doesn't read. It's good to
right.
read, even if it's just like a comic book or just for leisure or pleasure. It's good to read.
Yeah, it's
Exercise your
great.
mind.
Exercise your mind. Get an Audible, man. That's the best thing I say. If you don't do any books or anything, and I got thousands of around here, but uh, it, get Audible, and when you get up in the morning, or you're driving in the car, you can read some. You can listen to some of the lectures from. I use great courses of some of the smartest people in the world, and hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that.
True. I have some audiobooks that I like to take with me whenever I'm
Yeah,
hiking or walking on the treadmill or something. I finished The Manipulated Man, and I also finished
okay.
The Rational Male,
Rational, the Cool
and
Rational Male. I highly suggest that one.
that one's really good. And I just recently finished one
He
that I
tells
picked
you
out at
about
random.
the history of the men's rights in the Rational Male, and you can get you can learn about the history of men's rights in that.
Yeah, I mean, these are all good reads. I mean, I just recently finished a book called Do Androids Dream of Sleep. I mean, I picked that out at random. That was pretty good.
Okay,
Had had some MGTOW elements in there too.
okay, yeah, I like books, real MGTOW elements, and it's hard to find. We don't have too many MGTOW authors out there. We were supposed to, but we got somebody was supposed to write the book, but that might be our job sooner or later. Uh, but that would be like an 800 pager, wouldn't it?
Man, that would be a book of biblical proportions.
Yeah, when you think about we've been on talking about pretty solid subjects for 2 hours and 55 minutes, and you break it on our word count and everything. That's that's one third of a of a huge book.
True.
So these things are always good to go through the whole process. And what we do here is we do this process where we're looking for a truth, and then once we land on that truth, we kind of end it. We all know the feeling when we hit on the truth. We articulate what we wanted to say perfectly. But that's what these discussions are for, to discuss through it and get to the basic truth of MGTOW. One of MGTOW's, man, you notice probably, did you do the Google trending search? How it's taken a dive
Oh yeah.
popularity this year. And this is the first year. So we have to ask ourselves questions. What happened there during those years? We had entryism. We had the Proud Boy hate entryism thing that happened, and everybody was like that. Did you listen the other day when that guy came on? He was a traditionalist and he was arguing with us.
Oh yeah, man, I wish I had been there. I was like busy at the time, but
I
I was
handled myself
listening.
very well on that, and I didn't explode. But his last comment was, "I couldn't be a MGTOW because I wasn't a radical rightist."
Wow. Yeah, I
And
wish I had been on that stream. I mean, you did better than I would have. I'd have made fun of him, man, because we have enough of these dudes you know, trying to twist our words and shit,
right, his
and it's
idea is
funny.
he's going to bitch slap a girl down, and he's looking for that girl that wants to be subservient. And man, that ain't MGTOW. That never was MGTOW. And that's what them kind of people, the traditional conservative guys that think that way, are the people that give us a bad name. So we let it go too far. And then we lost a lot of people over the years with inner arguments and guys that can't take discussing things.
Yeah.
Uh, they got triggery. I know my fatherhood. There's no such thing as fatherhood, and I'll argue that every day with every trad con out there. I know he desperately wants to believe that there is such a thing, but you can't have a baby. And that's the premise of the argument. You're not
Uh,
having a baby, she is.
the way some of them act, man, they act as if they're having a baby. The way
Yeah,
the way they freaking go on about it,
yeah.
and it's
I tell everybody there's a. It's called sympathetic pregnancy. Very scientific thing is Corvat's disease,
yeah.
and they can look it up if they want, but they won't even take the. That's what reading. They won't take the time to look up Corvat's disease, and it's when men think they're having a baby, and that's what this fatherhood thing is. It's like you think it's her. It's always been her decision. It's 100% her decision. It's 100% her body. It's 100% her choice. I'll agree with feminists on that. It's 100% their accountability and responsibility too. And we have a sick society right now that believes the word father makes us responsible for their
That's
choices.
that's the thing. I've always held on to strong belief. I mean, if women want to go out and be crazy, let them
Yeah,
do it. I mean,
let them
these
do it.
guys trying to stop them, like they want some crazy return to traditionalism, and
Yeah,
it breaks their heart when I tell them that time will never come again,
that
ever.
time. romanticism, the area of romanticism and Victorianism. We progressed through Victorianism. We progressed through romanticism. You can read about romanticism in Camus' book, The Rebel, and how it's a horrible thing. And he'll tell you perfectly how romanticism was just horrible for men. And we're in this postmodern society now that now all we have to do is get the girls to be responsible for their body, because they believe that they don't have to be. It's their choice. You know, you want to go get pregnant, go get pregnant. You still have to take care of that baby. You got to be accountable for it. You're going to have to go to work, you know, or get on the social system that'll take care of that. But nobody gets a slave. And that's my argument, that daddies aren't slaves.
Exactly, and I agree with you completely, man, because people need to start taking more accountability for their actions. I just
Accountability.
laugh at how people think that their life choices hurt anybody. I mean, MGTOW doesn't like hurt anyone. I mean, but it's funny how people want to
Yeah,
want to throw that back at us, like, oh,
right.
I got a great relationship and da da da. And I told one guy this after he came at me in every conceivable way. I said, you have a great life. Would you agree? He says, yeah. And I said, so why is everything I do pissing you off?
Yeah, I'm not responsible for that. I just believe a different way, right? Uh, it's not like our way doesn't work out for each. You know, it's. I, I always joke about. I've only seen one MGTOW failure, and that was Mike the MGTOW monk. And he was like, "Well, maybe I'm not a monk." No, we already knew you weren't a monk.
Yeah, man, that's funny as hell. A lot of people want to wear the title of monk, but they don't want to live the lifestyle, man. And they
I like
expose
that.
themselves without anyone saying anything.
Yeah, and they do. Well, that's what I want to bring up. You said that before, and that's what you said. You were in a conversation, and just let them talk, because they'll expose themselves. That's what SFM used to talk. The more this ass talks, the more he's going to expose himself.
That's why I sat back when I went back to that stream. I sat back for 2 hours. When I remember going to Nate's stream, I didn't say nothing for about 2 straight hours, and I listened. And then the one time I decided to say something, me and some woman got into it, and then we ended up having like a pleasant conversation, and then she didn't want to talk to me anymore. It was really funny. I mean, it's
Oh
like
yeah,
I I debunked all her little claims, said,
yeah,
cool, go off and be a strong, independent woman. Oh, you're being sarcastic. No, no, really, go off and you live in a time period where you can do A, B, and C, and yeah, I fully support you and your choice. And then
I,
it took the piss out of her, man. It
yeah.
didn't. There was no fight left with her, and so since there was nothing to fight over, she just left.
Oh yeah. I got an interview with a Universal Mother, and I kind of respect her in a way where she does the I am thing, where she believes she's her own God, and I do that too. I believe I'm God, but but she was trying to push that, and I just let her talk, and then I debunked every little thing. And you know what happened? You can see the difference between the guys that argue on the bad points in MGTOW, because those girls are always coming back because they
Oh
enjoy
yeah,
the drama and the argument. Once you debunk them solidly like we do, they never come back, and you notice she never came back.
yeah, that's true.
There's
She
probably
she was.
nothing more horrible in her life than having to spend an hour talking to me and not being right.
I mean, it's a crazy power. I mean that we just get given. It's a weird thing that we're given because on one hand we achieve, like, we self reflect and we understand ourselves, and when you meet someone that it doesn't understand themselves, they like, after all the insults have been said and done, I mean, hell, what is there left to say? I mean, some people just can't have a civil conversation. So
Right.
when the woman realizes this, and there's nothing, she can't shame you, there's nothing to
Right.
fight you over, she just leaves
She
and she
just
never
leaves.
comes back.
Never comes back. And that's the proper way to handle things in MGTOW is I can't remember that guy's name, and he did it on the air, and it's like, don't be that guy that didn't have the answers, and have the solid answers for them. And them truths are going to hurt. And but after she's gone, she ain't going to come back from any more of that. She knows that we're right, and I've seen she's texted me over the years and everything that, and it's very nice, pleasant. Hi, how you doing? I was, just making sure you're okay and everything, and that's fine. Uh, but they never want to have that conversation again.
Oh yeah, they avoid that, man.
I mean,
They could.
that's about being civil, a civil MGTOW too. Sometimes you got to come with this, with with honor and civility, and you just make your points, and you have good points, and learn about MGTOW, and you might have to do a debating course too.
Yeah, I've that's why I challenge myself. Sometimes I go to these streams just to challenge their resolve,
Yeah,
and in a weird way, kind of challenge my own, just to kind of see did my opinions change or sway a little bit, and then I go back and I reflect on that conversation. So I try to make that the dialogue healthy, for
right.
myself and
I'm
everybody
learning
else.
something here, and if they hit me with something that I'm not really sure about, or something, I'll go do the. Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to go do the research on that, and I'm going to fix that. I'm going to have the answer next time, uh, and that's all healthy growth. But that's what we're about: healthy growth.
And that's what we should stay about, and these entry guide levels need to learn. I mean,
Right.
you have people that they don't do their research. I mean, I ran into a dude named Mr. Research, but it was kind of weird. I mean, I was telling him, you got to do more research because normally when a person like people like me and you when we don't know something, we either will go and look it up before we try to have a full blown thing about it. But I've had people come up to me, didn't know jack crap about me, didn't even know about the topic, and then they were trying to engage in like a long-winded discussion, and they prove that they don't know about the topic, and then
Right.
it makes other people not want to have it. Now they're feeling all disrespected and shit, and it's not even that. It's just the fact that they did not do their research.
Right. Yeah, they didn't do the research. It's a good thing too because I have probably I've been on my Google Docs. I keep notes from every one of these things that we do, and I should probably organize them someday into a real where I can really kind of fast on the computer. I do have a Google machine in front of me where I can bring these answers to front, and that may lead to the MGTOW book, the ultimate book someday. If I just organize all those pages I have.
The hell, man, I'd buy it. I'd love to read it.
Yeah, I just got like probably 800 pages of stuff. These things like where I go back and I reflect. Was I wrong? Was I right? I could take my introspection, listen to what I said. If I hit on something, I need to write that down. Uh, yeah, that's always a good thing to do.
It really is. 'Cause I told them like I tell my haters all the time, like I'm man enough to admit that I'm wrong. If you provide me the evidence, okay, Black Wolf was way over the line about this, and you show it to me, and we talk about it, it's not gonna hurt my ego to go, you know what? Hell, I may have been wrong about that. Okay, let me go and study up on it, and then I'll come back and and try again. But not if it's just some emotional, personal thing. And when
Right.
somebody comes to me with that, I just kind of dismiss it and go on about my business. I make it part of the performance. That's why that's why they don't ever come directly to my channel anymore because I've already kind of told them if they try to upstage me on my own stage, I'll clown it up and then make them part of the performance. So unless they're coming with healthy dialogue, I
Healthy,
just
yeah.
dismiss them.
Yeah, there's a philosophy to what we do around here. There's a way of we have words, we have things that and there's a way we project ourselves, and they should know. When they come around here, they should know that it's so insulting with some of the newbies. Sometimes they come around and they hit you with that. You're gay. It's like, oh God.
Yeah, that
It's like,
I get so irritated when they throw that shit around and they don't even understand. I'm so beyond like we are so beyond that shit to the
it's
point where it's petty and
yeah,
it's sad because what these idiots don't realize is there are many gay people who cape for women. So I mean, what's their excuse on that? I mean, if I'm not a homo, but if I was, I'd be more pissed off at women in these damn white knights because they keep bringing them up in situations that ain't got nothing to do with them all the time, and they caped for women's rights harder, almost as hard as anybody. It wasn't
Yeah.
us. It was women and gays and pretty much any like body that felt marginalized at the time. So I don't know why they're bringing that up to us. They
Yeah.
make the insinuation that someone has to be
Take me to the
a
situation. They expect me that they have like usually is like when an ad hominem stops being an ad hominem when it's true, and I'll go, and you're an ass.
you know you can flip the script on. I did this to a woman who kept calling me gay in the stream, bro. I told her this. I said, so would you say that someone has to be gay in order to hate women? And then she got quiet. I was like, no, 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 no. Would you say that someone has to be gay in order to hate women? And then she didn't answer. And I said, you see, this lady's she's calling me a misogynist. She's clearly a homophobe. I threw that SJW crap right back at her.
Yeah,
See,
their little personality quirks and everything. That's something. But we are running over here time wise.
oh yeah, man. Sorry, I enjoy. You know me. I enjoy talking with good people and everything. You you be safe, brother. And hell, I'm just gonna get something to eat. Thank for
Yeah,
having me on.
my stomach's gurgling, and I haven't even had breakfast yet. And I got some cleanup to do. I know that.
Stay strong, brother. I'll be around, and I'll try to get some of my own streams up too, so I can catch up to everybody.
Yeah, cool. We can start kind of visiting each other's streams. I think that was Whiskey was talking about. He wants to see more visiting of each other's streams and get the mgtow back on track. Okay, with that, Joe, you got anything to say?
No, I think we had a great guest today, so appreciate you coming on and great discussion. And I would just remind men just to, you have to empower yourself, continue to do that, because if you don't, then people are going to take advantage of you.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, with that, it's like always, thanks for each and every guy that comes around here. And because without you guys coming around, there wouldn't be a mgtow, and I'd have nowhere to hang out. And with that, thanks for being mgtow. MGTOWs.